You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk and it's it. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in a kid. Got a billion new single, my hater, the big better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million, the devil, that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Deku Enters Total Drama Island. Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of Firem78910 on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. We see Chris in the dock of shame as he puts away his phone and looks at the camera. Last time on TDI, 24 campers arrived and learned that they'll be spending the next 8 weeks and in a shitey old summer camp. Chris said as it flashed back to the 24 camper posing on the dock. The campers were faced with their first challenge, jumping off a cliff with shark-infested waters. While most campers took the plunge, even DJ, who was scared of heights. Only Courtney wore, which ultimately costing her team the challenge. Chris said as it recapped to everyone but Courtney jumping. At the campfire ceremony, it came down to 2 campers. Courtney the Sit and Ezekiel the Dumbass, who pissed off all of the female campers with his outdated views on women. Surprisingly enough, it was Ezekiel who got the last marshmallow. I guess homeschooling and reality TV do mix. It was Courtney's time for the loser boat. Guess her being a Sit didn't mean much in this case. Chris said as it shows Ezekiel getting the marshmallow and Courtney leaving the island. Who will be eliminated this week in the most dramatic campfire ceremony yet? Find out tonight on. Chris said as he does the last part of the intro. Total Drama Island. After the intro ends, we find Chris walking towards the cabin where he holds up a megaphone and an air horn. He puts the air horn on the mouthpiece of the megaphone and presses the button on the air to make its noise louder. Oh! Causing Lashana to hit her head. It's 7 in the morning. Do I look like a farmer to you? Lashana said to Chris. No, but if you were at Yua Aizawa-sensei would expel for waking up late. Ochako said. Really girl, that's dumb and illegal. Lashana said. Confessional room. BBZZTT. If I recall my Quirk law class back in high school, hero courses must wait at least a month before they can expel people as to see if they have potential or not, that way they won't get sued for unjustified expulsion. Lashana said. BBZZTT. I wonder why everyone keeps telling both Izuku and I that what we are doing is illegal. Being pro-heroes is what we really want. Okay, I'm in it for the money so that I can help my family, but when my teammates asked what my parents' job were, and after I told them, they looked shocked, as if I should be flaunting my money and wearing top-of-the-line stuff. Ochako said, honestly confused by this. BBZZTT. The doll-faced maggot should be one of those rich type of girl if she and her family works at construction. Chef still surprised by this. BBZZTT. Outside of the cabins. After that happened, the campers are outside and waiting on Chris. Eva is listening to some music on her MP3 player. Cody noticed this and wanted to know what song was playing. But Eva saw and tried to bite him and even growled at him like a dog. It was then Chris spoke. Morning, hope you slept well, Chris asked. A bit, but I'm used to waking up early, Izuku said with a shrug. Hi Chris, you look really buff in those shorts, Heather said as Gwen rolled her eyes, knowing that she was trying and failing to kiss his ass. I know. Okay, I hope you're all ready cause your next challenge begins in exactly 1 minute, Chris said as he tapped his wristwatch. Oh, excuse me, I don't think it's enough time for breakfast, Owen said as Ochako nods. Despite the obvious reason, Chris just ignores him. Oh, you'll get breakfast right after you guys and gals do a 20-kilometer run around the lake, Chris said. Which pisses off Eva. Oh, so you're funny now. You what I think would be funny, Eva said as both Jeff and Duncan were holding her back. Yo, Eva Dudette, keep your cool girl, Jeff said as Eva sighs. You're enjoying this, are you? Eva asked, though she already knew the answer. A little. You have 30 seconds, Chris said as he pissed off Eva even more. Confessional room. BBZZTT. Okay, Eva really needs to control her temper, like seriously bro, She yeeted her suit out of a window. Jeff said. BBZZTT. Man, Eva has only been here a day and she already started wrecking the place. Which included breaking the lock in one of the bathroom stalls, though once she saw Izuku there, she just ran while blushing, which was weird. Ezekiel said. BBZZTT. Ochako is one lucky bitch. Even I know she likes him. But goddamn did she pick a good one. Eva said with as her nose bleed. BBZZTT. A few minutes later. We find the campers ready to run. Okay runners, on your marks, get set, go, Chris said as Justin, Trent and surprisingly Owen began running while Tyler lags behind. 10 kilometers later. Time had passed and the camper were halfway there. Some ran while others walked. Do you know how much longer? Harold asked. Don't walk beside me, Gwen said. Noah ran past Heather after slightly bumping into her. Do you mind? Heather said, annoyed at Noah. Confessional room. BBZZTT. I don't run, and I definitely don't run in high heel wedges, Heather said. BBZZTT. Why is she wearing high heel wedges in this show? That's just asking for a busted ankle, Ochako asked. BBZZTT. The running part was a breeze due to me getting used to my training period with All Might and the training I get in UA High, Izuku said. BBZZTT. Heather was walking along when she stepped on something wet. Luckily for her, it was just a puddle. She also saw Owen drinking from said puddle with his tongue. Can't. Catch. Breath. Must. Have. Condition. Owen said with every breath. Yeah, it's called overeating. Look into it. Heather said, annoyed, disgusted by Owen. What's your excuse? You skinny? Annoying. Ooh, too tired for insults. Lashana said as she was tried from the run. Hey guys, what's wrong? Izuku as Ochako went to his side. Heather looked shocked to see that neither Izuku nor Ochako weren't tired. Oh yeah, your illegal hero training, Lashana said as she sees not only Izuku but Ochako were still raring to go. It was at that moment Chris passed by them in his moped. Pick it up, people, if you're not back by dinner time you don't eat, Chris said as he drove by. Ooh, I hate him so much, Heather said as she stepped on Owen. Let's go, Deku-kun, Ochako said. Yeah, let's go, Izuku as they went off. Main Lodge. We see several campers in the main lodge waiting for the rest of the campers to get here. As everyone waited, the door burst open, revealing Owen carrying Noah on his shoulder fireman style, and Lashana came in as well. Izuku and Ochako went into hero mode as soon as they saw Noah and helped Owen. Guys, clear the table now, Izuku shouted as they did just that. Owen put him down gently on the table. Ochako said as she directed Owen. Okay, but I can help, I know CPR, Owen said as he shows Ochako and Izuku his CPR card. Both of them nodded as they let Owen give Noah chest compressions. Yo dude, you okay man? Ezekiel asked. I think I'm having heart palpitations, Harold said as he had his hand on his heart. Gwen noticed that Harold was the last one to enter the main lodge. Hey, wait a minute, since he was the last one to enter that means we won the challenge, Gwen said with a smile. This got the other Gophers, which included Noah, who got up to cheer except for Izuku. Gwen, I don't think that was part of the challenge, Izuku said. He's right, that wasn't the challenge, Chris said with a smile. What did he just say? Gwen said in disbelief as Chris walked towards a curtain. Who's hungry? Chris said as he pulls the curtain to reveal a buffet of good food. Confessional room. BBZZTT. After a whole week of brown sludge, I almost cried when I saw that buffet, Gwen said. BBZZTT. Oh wow, the buffet looked so good, I just had to eat it, especially the raspberry tarts and matcha, Ochako said as she drooled a bit. BBZZTT. And then I saw it. The buffet table. It was beautiful. There was turkey, baked beans, maple syrup, and chamomile tea. Can I have a minute? Owen said as he cries a bit. BBZZTT. I think something is up. There's no way Chris would give such an awesome feast. I think it might have something to do with the next challenge since, well, from what I heard from Chris, he played poker with Nezu, Izuku said, not trusting the buffet Chris laid out. BBZZTT. God damn it, I forgot to add the katsudon, Chris said, knowing that Izuku would have not asked questions about the feast if he had laid out his favorite meal. BBZZTT. It only lasted for a few minutes. The buffet did not survive against the hungry campers. Said campers were now holding their stomachs due to how full they were. It was at that moment Chris jumped on top of the table with megaphone in hand. "Okay, campers, it's time for part 2 of your challenge," Chris said. "I thought eating was the second part," Owen said. "What more do you want from us?" Gwen said as she rubbed her stomach. "Weird goth girl is right, haven't we been through done enough?" Heather said as she held her stomach. "I knew something was up," Izuku said as he held on to his full belly. Let me think about that." "No, it's time for the Awake-a-thon," Chris said. "The what-a-thon?" Owen asked. "Don't worry. This is an easy one. The team with the last camper standing wins invincibility," Chris said as he explained the rules of the challenge. "So what you're saying is the 20K run and the turkey-eating frenzy was all part of your evil plan to make harder to stay awake?" Gwen sarcastically asked. "That's right, Gwen," Chris said. "Man, he's good," Izuku said in disbelief as both Gwen and Lashana nod. "Move, move, move," Chris said as the campers started walking out. "So Deku, how long do you think it will be before they quit?" Ochako asked as Izuku thinks of an answer. "Maybe an hour or two," Izuku said as he sees Owen walk by. "Maybe less, Deku-kun, maybe less," Ochako said, thinking that it would end shortly. Oh, how wrong she was. Awake-a-thon. 12 hours in. SG 12 KB, 11 inches. We are now 12 hours in with all 23 campers still wide awake, Chris said as Owen danced around. "Woohoo, stay awake for 12 hours, I can do that in my sleep." "Woo," Owen stated before getting a one-way ticket to Dreamland. Confessional room. BBZZTT. The Awake-a-thon was definitely the most brutal thing I've ever done in my life, Gwen said. BBZZTT. I wouldn't be surprised if either Aizawa or Nezu would implement something similar for Yua, Izuku said. BBZZTT. Awake-a-thon. 12 hours in. SG 11 KB, 11 inches. This has got to be the most boring thing I've ever done in my whole life. A tried, Gwen said as Trent yawns. It could be way worse, Trent said. Oh yeah, how? Gwen said, not believing it. I could stuck here without you to talk to, Trent said as Gwen smiles. Heather meanwhile looks at them with suspicion. Confessional room. BBZZTT. So my strategy is to get 2 other campers to form an alliance with me and take to the final 3. Now the question is, who do I find that is either desperate, dumb, or both to do whatever I say? I just need to make sure that illegal hero in training of our leader doesn't find out, Heather said. BBZZTT. Hey, what ya doing, Lindsay? Tyler asked. Yeah, Beth said, wondering what Lindsay was doing. Trying to get the blood to rush to my head. I think it's working, Lindsay said as she does a handstand. Can I try? Beth said as she got into a handstand like Lindsay. Okay, let's do this, Tyler said as he did the same. Sure, Lindsay said. Perfect, Lindsay. Beth, Tyler, can I talk to for a sec? Heather said as the 4 of them went to another part of the campfire to talk about the alliance. As Heather hammered out the details, Eva stood up to go to the bathroom, not noticing that she dropped her MP3 player. Izuku, however, did notice. Hey, Eva, you dropped your MP3 player, Izuku said as he followed Eva to give it back. Thanks, Eva said as takes the MP3 from Izuku and continues to the bathroom. Awake-a-thon. 24 hours in. SG 9KB8. A day had now passed and several campers had fallen asleep. The Gophers are ahead by 1 campers and they're trying everything to stay awake, which leads to some consequences like Tyler suffering a hallucination of Sadie and Katie being mauled by a bear. Congratulations, you've passed the 24-hour mark. Time to take things up a notch. Fairy tales, Chris said as Chef in a pink sheep costume with a harp stands next to him and reveals a whole bunch of books. Oh, he's not serious, Gwen said. I think he is, Gwen, Ochako said. Yeah, he is. This will be hard, Izuku said. It was at that moment that Chris read a story about a boring kingdom, which was then followed by Chief performing a dance from the pre-Quirk play The Nutcracker, which caused a lot of the campers to feel sleepy. DJ tried to play it smart by tying himself to a tree, but he soon fell asleep and taking the tree with him. Awake-a-thon. 40 hours in. SG 6KB4. It was 40 hours into the Awake-a-thon and already several campers had fallen. The killer base had 4 members left, which were Eva, Ezekiel, Jeff and Duncan. With the screaming Gophers, it was Ochako, Gwen, Heather, Justin, Trent and Izuku. Gwen and Trent were doing 20 questions with each other to stay awake. As for Izuku and Ochako, "Okay, how about we look at some My Hero books to try and keep us up?" Izuku said. Ochako gave him a flat look but relented. It would years later that Ochako would want to slap her younger self at the back of her head, especially during the sports festival. As she read the notebook about her, she saw ways on how to improve her quirk, make better costume designs, and what weapons she could use to complement her quirk. Confessional room. BBZZTT. Nejire, Mirio, Tsuyu and Aizawa-sensei, could you cover Erie-chan's ears please? Okay, should be enough. Ochako said and stayed until. FFF, Ochako shouted after realizing how big of an idiot she had been. BBZZTT. Dan girl, tell us how really feel. Though to be fair, I read one of these book, and anyone who doesn't read these are idiots. Chris said as he holds up one of said notebooks. BBZZTT. This is incredible, Deku-kun, and now I feel like an idiot for not taking the notebook about Katsuki back at the sports festival. Ochako said as Izuku tried to speak, but Ochako stopped him. No, Izuku, I had victory handed to me on a silver platter, and I ignored it. Granted, yes, it wouldn't be a guaranteed victory, but still. Ochako said as Owen walked past them, naked. Was that Owen-san? Izuku said as he saw Owen go into the forest. Confessional room. BBZZTT. Did I mention I ate the entire plate of baked beans and maple syrup? Yeah, funny thing about that as well, they make me sleepwalk. Owen said. BBZZTT. After Owen wandered off into the woods, Gwen and Trent finally fallen asleep cuddling each other. Izuku and Ochako are lying down on the ground looking at the stars. Izuku, are you still awake? Ochako said. Yeah, I am. It's weird, but I'm so tired that I don't feel tired anymore. Does that make sense? Izuku asked. Weird, but yeah, I kinda feel the same way. Does that make sense? Ochako said. I have no idea anyway. Where's the Little Dipper again? Izuku asked. See the Big Dipper, follow the tip of the pot to the Polaris star. That's the tip of the Little Dipper handle. Ochako said as she points to the Polaris star. Oh, that's cool, Izuku said with a tired smile. With Owen. We find Owen randomly sleepwalking until he was about to fall off the cliff, but then turns around at the last second only to fall anyway. Awake-a-thon. 51 hours in. SG 4KB4. More than 2 days have passed on the Awake-a-thon, and only a few campers remain. Ochako and Izuku are looking at Justin right now. Whoa, look at him. He's like a statue. He hasn't moved for 2 days. Ochako said as Izuku starts to randomly yip at Justin to see if he can get a reaction. The yipping would have freaked Ochako out if she didn't come to the conclusion that he's only doing this due to his sleep-deprived mind. She shrugged it off and poked Justin's face, hoping to see a reaction, and she did. Justin blinked for a bit and even noticed it. Hey, his eyelids are painted on, I saw it, Eva said. Shut up, I've got to see this, Chris said as he rushes towards Justin. Chris inspects Justin for a bit and said, That is so fucking cool, but you're still out, dude, Chris said as Justin frowns. Confessional room. BBZZTT. Okay, that was smart, I got to admit that, Izuku admitted at when he knew about Justin's plan. BBZZTT. I thought it would work, Justin said with a shrug. BBZZTT. With Owen. Owen is seen jumping with salmon along the waterfall. Yes, waterfall. Owen is somehow jumping a waterfall like the salmon that are with him. Awake-a-thon. 85 hours in. SG 3KB2. More than 3 days had passed, and they are still going. Duncan was trying to see if a centuries-old prank still worked. Okay, if what they told me was true, Duncan said as he puts Harold's hand into a cup. It only took a few seconds for it to work. Oh, no fucking way it actually worked. Dude peed his pants. Duncan said after Harold peed his pants, causing him to wake up. Gwen took this moment to wake up. If I'd would commit murder for some coffee right now, Gwen said as Chris came by with coffee in hand. What is the matter with you people? Come on, fall asleep already, Chris said as Gwen begged for some coffee. Geez, Gwen, calm down, my boss will give you guys some coffee after you and everyone else showers and gets some sleep. 'Cause you all stink like zombies, Chris said as everyone but the 5 remaining campers of the Awake-a-thon. As everyone leaves, Chris drinks his coffee and looks at the remaining campers. I didn't want it to come to this, I said to both Chef and Daniel last night. I said I didn't want it to come to this. But damn it, these campers are tough. So I devised the most boring and sleep-inducing activity known to all quirked and quirkless kind, Chris said. Confessional room. BBZZTT. Oh really, what now? Okay, you know what? Bring it on, Ochako said as she puts on her game face. BBZZTT. I think I have a good idea on what it is and it's very boring, Izuku said as he has a good idea on what Chris is planning. BBZZTT. The History of Canada, a pop-up book, Chapter 1, The Beaver, National Symbol and a Damn Fine Hat, Chris said as this caused an instant wave of boredom among the campers. With Owen. Owen was now part of a beaver dam as one beaver was slapping Owen's butt. Awake-a-thon. 87 hours in. SG 3 KB 2 inches. Which of course this led to the precursor for the discussions leading to the War of 1812. Chris said as he was bored himself. But it was working. Both Heather and Eva fell to the ground asleep. Izuku himself was succumbing to the mist of Morpheus. Izuku, Ochako said as he fell to the land of dreams. And Nuwu, Ochako said, and for reason in slow motion as Izuku fell down to the ground. Don't leave me, Ochako said as Izuku sleeps. Awake-a-thon. 87 hours in. SG 1 KB 1. It was now down 2 campers, Ochako and Duncan. Okay, time for a bathroom break. Any takers? Chris asked as Duncan smirked. I've held it this long, sweetheart. I can go all day, Duncan said as he looked like he needed to pee. Ochako noticed this and smiled. Yeah, but can you hold it for another 10 chapters? Ochako said as she crossed her arms and gave a smirking smile. Duncan, realizing that he's screwed, decides to take Chris's offer. You got 5 minutes as long you don't mind a bit of company, Chris said. Fine, but stay out of the stall, Duncan said as the cameraman nods. 5 minutes later. Duncan, you in there, man? The cameraman asked as he opens the door, to reveal a sleeping Duncan, with Chris and Ochako. Chris was still waiting for Duncan until Daniel gave him a note. It looks like Duncan is taking a dive on the can, so the official winner of the Awake-a-thon is Ochako. The Screaming Gophers win, Chris said as Ochako finally went to sleep. Campfire ceremony. It was now nighttime and the killer base are all around the campfire. Some glared at Duncan for costing them the challenge, but no said anything, not even Duncan, who is now holding his platinum base with Ochako receiving the platinum gopher. Okay, you all casted your votes. When I call out your name, get your marshmallow. The person who doesn't receive a marshmallow has to walk the dock of shame, take the boat of losers, and never come back ever. Okay, so the first marshmallow goes to Duncan, Chris said as Duncan takes his marshmallow. Bridget, Cody, DJ, Eva, Ezekiel, Harold, Jeff, Katie. As each camper received their marshmallow, those that didn't get one got worried and breathed sighs of relief when they did, until only 1 marshmallow remained and 2 not having one. Those campers were Sadie and Tyler. Chris made a dramatic pause until he chose a camper. Sadie, Chris said as Sadie get her marshmallow and hugs Katie. Aw man, Tyler said as he goes to the loser boat. Sorry man, but they voted and you lost, Chris said as Tyler still walked towards the boat. The others of the killer base went back towards their cabins. Well then, another dramatic episode done and over. With Tyler gone and the killer base down 2 members, how will they survive? Will the streak of the Screaming Gophers continue, or will it come crashing down? Find out next time on Churs said as he did the outro. Total Drama Island with the Gophers. Ugh, Lindsay, Beth, what happened? Heather asked. Don't worry, Hannah, Oako won the challenge, Lindsay said with a smile. Yeah, but the base eliminated Tyler, Beth said. Okay, a minor setback, but we can bounce back at this, Heather said with a small smile, knowing that they at least won the challenge. Maybe should have invited Justin to the alliance, Lindsay said. Why him of all people? Heather asked. Well, because he's super hot, and for the eyelid thing he did, Beth said. I'll think about it, Heather said. They were right about Justin being super hot, but he was a lot smarter than she though, since he did pull off the whole eyelid thing. Say, where's Ochako anyway? Heather asked. With Izuku, Lindsay said as she points to the boys' cabin. Heather went to the boys' cabin and saw a crowd with a raised eyebrow. She went in and saw what they saw. Both of the illegal heroes in training were sleeping together, and they looked diabetes-inducing levels of adorable as they cuddled. So leave them alone for now, Duncan asked as everyone nodded as he goes to bed. Everyone else went to bed as well. It was the day of the premiere of Total Drama Island, and everyone in the hero course of UA High, Class 1A, 1B and the Big Three of the hero course along with Hitoshi and Mei from General Education and Support course respectively along with Erie are now in the 1A dorms to watch the premiere. Oh man, I can't wait until the show starts, Denki said excited tone. I know both Izuku and Ochako are so manly for doing this, Kirishima asked. Gyro raised an eyebrow. Why are you referring to Ochako as manly? She's a girl, Gyro asked. What does gender have to with manliness? Kirishima asked. Touché. But you're right, I hope Izuku or Ochako wins, Gyro said. Deku and Round Face better win or else, Katsuki said. I hope they win, Erie said. True, I wonder who else will be there, Mina said, wondering who the other contestants are. With the 1B kids, the comments are mostly the same, but for some reason Monoma is silent, Itsuka asked. Hey Monoma, what's wrong? I would have thought you would be bashing 1A about this, Itsuka Kendo asked. Normally I would, but this is a show hosted by Chris McLean. I know what goes on in his shows, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and yes, that includes those glory hogs of Class 1A, Monoma said. Damn, what should we expect at this show? Hitoshi asked with a grin. Well, since this is a show hosted by McLean, I expect lots of dead interns, injures, a disgusting eating challenge and I mean many injuries, Monoma said as he listed off the usual things of a McLean show. Holy shit, should we worry about Midoriya and Uraraka? Setsuna Takage said. Hey extras, the show is about to start, Katsuki shouted. Oh, let's watch SHH, Mina said. The show starts with the host Chris McLean on a dock started the show. Yo, we're coming at you live from Camp Wawanakwa somewhere in Muskoka, Canada. I'm your host, Chris McLean, Chris said as he lets what he said sink in. Dropping season 1 of the hottest new reality show on television right now, Chris said as he starts to walk down the dock. Wow, I'm so excited about this. So when Ochako and Izuku are gonna show up? Toru asked. No idea, but let's watch to find out, Mina said. Here's the deal, 24 campers have signed up to spend 8 weeks right here in this crummy old summer camp, Chris said as he stops in front of the camp sign. They'll compete in challenges against each other, then have to face judgments of their fellow campers, Chris said, pausing for a few seconds. Every week, one team will either win a reward or watch one of their team members walk down the dock of shame and take a ride on the loser boat, never to come back ever, Chris said as he gestured at the dock. We soon find Chris near an unlit campfire. Their fate will be decided here at the dramatic campfire ceremonies, Chris said as he shows off the campfire site, where all but one camper will receive a marshmallow, Chris said as he takes a stick with a marshmallow and eats said treat. In the end, only one will be left standing, will be rewarded with cheesy tabloid fame and a small fortune of $100,000 acid, Chris said as he pulls out a treasure chest from out of nowhere. Let's face, with an exception of one of the campers, they'll blow it off in a week or two, Chris said as he referenced one doll-faced heroine in training. Everyone chuckled as they knew that he was referring to Ochako. Chris returned to the docks. To survive, they'll have to battle flies, grizzly bears, disgusting camp food, and each other. Every moment will be caught on one of the hundreds of cameras situated all over the camp. Who will crumble under the pressure? Find out right here, right now on, Chris said as he took a deep breath and shouted. Total Drama Island. Huh, so it's like a last man standing kind of show. Shoji commented at that. I feel like I've heard about this before, Tsuyu said, wondering where she had heard of this before. I think it's the pre-Quirk show called Survivor, Minoru said. Hey, the opening is starting, Gyro said. Intro, I want to be famous. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm doing fine. You guys are on my mind. You asked me what I wanted to be. And now I think the answer is plain to see. I want to be famous. I want to live close to the sun. Well, pack your bags to Safari 1. Everything to prove nothing in my way. I'll get there one day. 'Cause I want to be famous. Nana 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 nana. I want to be famous. I want to be famous. Huh, not a bad song, it's catchy, Gyro said. Though I think I can do without cameras, Momo said. Yeah, Momo, it's a reality show, the cameras are everywhere, Mina said. Forget the cameras, the camp is disgusting. I mean, it looks like the cabins are barely standing, Pony said. SHHH guys, the show's back on, Kanoko said. Welcome back to Total Drama Island. Alright, it's time to meet our first 12 campers. We told them they'd all be staying at this 5-star resort, so if they seem a little pissed off, that's probably why, Chris said as he chuckled a bit. I'd be pissed off as well if I was tricked into going to this place, Shota said as everyone nodded. As soon as he said that, he hears the sound of the first boat. Once the boat arrived, the first contestant came out. She was a girl who was slightly on the pudgy side with chestnut brown hair done in a high ponytail. She wore a green and gold shirt festooned with a variety of pin-on buttons and pale pink slacks. She also wore Coke bottle glasses and braces. Beth, what's up? Chris said as he greets the perky girl. It's so awesome to meet you. You look a lot shorter in real life, Beth said. Thanks, Chris dryly remarked as he was a bit miffed that someone referenced his height. The next person to arrive was a tall young man wearing a white cap, brown shirt, and black shorts. DJ, Chris said. Yo, Chris McLean, how's it going? You sure you got the right place here? Where's the hot tub at? DJ asked as he looked for said hot tub. Yo, dog, this is it. Camp Wawanakwa, Chris said as he pointed where the campsite was. HMPH, looked a lot different on the application form, DJ said as he goes where Beth is at. The third camper has short hair that was dyed pitch black and highlighted in teal. Her dark, cool colors outfit consisted of a sleeved corset top that arranged her modest bust to its best advantage, a short skirt with a patchwork look, forest green hose, and black knee-high platform boots. Her pasty complexion wasn't artificial, but natural. This is due to a side effect of her quirk. Hey, Gwen, Chris said as he ignored Gwen's look of disbelief. You mean we're staying here? Gwen said as she pointed at the trailer, knowing fully well that there was not it would fit all 24 competitors. No, you're staying there. My crib is in the airstream with AC that way, Chris said as he first points to the log cabins, then to the trailer. I did not sign up for this, Gwen said with a scowl on her face. Actually, you did, Chris said as he shows Gwen the application forms and contract she signed at her. Gwen, however, takes them and rips them in two and gave Chris a smug look. Chris, on the other hand, chuckles. The good thing about lawyers is they make lots of copies, Chris said as he shows Gwen copies of her application forms and contract. I am not staying here, Gwen stubbornly shouted. Cool. I hope you can swim though, because your ride just left, Chris said as the boat leaves for the main land. Asshole, Gwen darkly muttered under her breath. The fourth contestant to arrive has a cowboy surfer style since he wore sandals, jeans, a pink silk button-down shirt, and a 10-gallon hat. Chris McLean, what up man, it's an honor to meet you man, the cowboy surfer said. The Jeff Stir, welcome to the island, man, Chris said. Hey, thanks man, Chris said as Gwen frowns. If they say man one more time, I'm gonna puke, Gwen said sarcastically at the display. The boat comes back with the fifth contestant. "Everybody, this is Lindsay," Chris said. Lindsay came out of the boat. She sported a warm colors ensemble consisting of stylized cowboy boots, a short skirt, and a halter top. Atop her head with a baby blue bandana while her hair was straightened out. Her skin was fair and flawless, and her face was made up subtly and skillfully. "Not too shabby," Chris said as he checks Lindsay out. "Hi, okay, you look so familiar," Lindsay asked. "I'm Chris McLean, the host of the show," Chris said as he was amazed on how dumb she was. Maybe he shouldn't have given her the anti-Quirk bracelet, but he needed to do so to make it fair. "Oh, that's where I know you from," Lindsay said sheepishly. "Ah, yeah," Chris said as he's now regretting giving her the Ak bracelet. Mainta and Kosai drooled at Lindsay and Gwen, while Denki blushed at seeing Lindsay. Erie noticed that the contestants were wearing those bracelets. "Ni big sis Momo, why are they wearing the bad guy bracelets?" Erie asks. "I don't know, Erie-chan," Momo said. "Do you think the host will make them compete quirkless?" Ibara said. Monoma snorts at that comment. "I'd be surprised if he didn't," Monoma said. Everyone wondered what Monoma was talking about. Who they go back to the show to see the sixth contestant to show up. When they saw Heather, they instantly didn't like her, and even Erie didn't like her. Duncan, well, everyone but Monoma wondered if Chris was insane for inviting a criminal, granted one from juvie, but still a criminal. Trent was okay, and according to Mina's shipping senses that Gwen and Trent will be a couple. Erie felt bad for Tyler when he got hurt. She also liked Bridget. "Oh yeah, it's time for Ochako times to shine," Mina said. "Anyway, camper number 12 born and raised in Japan, Ochako," Chris said as Ochako leaves the boat. Ochako is dressed in a pink short-sleeved t-shirt, jean shorts, and a pair of sandals. "Hi Chris, how are ya?" Ochako said. "Doing good, your Avity. How's Ontario treating you?" Chris asked. "Pretty good, especially when the network and new producer gave us a place to stay, time to learn English, and some money to spend while the show was being prepped," Ochako said with a smile. Chris frowned at that, but they were his bosses, plus he didn't have enough dirt on them or the new guy yet. "Okay then, now go to the other campers." Chris as went to the other campers with her only suitcase. "Hi everyone, I'm Ochako," Ochako said as Heather scoffs and goes on her way. The other introduced themselves with Duncan calling her doll face. She pouts at this, but then sighs. "Oh well, better than round face, I guess," Ochako said. "Hold on, I heard you were here before the show started along with one other person." "How is that fair?" Heather said. As Chris said, "My friend and I are from Japan, and that's why we were for a few weeks before the show started. Also, the only reason we're even here in the first place is that our school principal owed Chris a favor," Ochako said, which led to Heather huffing away. "What's next? He thought you and your friend were college's students or something," Duncan asked, snickering at the end. Yeah, he did thought we were college students since my friend and I are taking the hero course in Japan," Ochako said as the other camper's eyes widened. Are you and your friend like around our age or something?" Jeff asks as Ochako answered. "My friend is 16 and I'm 15," Ochako said as the others had their eyes widen. I'm pretty damn sure that violates the Robin Protection Act," Bridget said. "It is Malibu, trust me, I know," Duncan said. Ochako raises an eyebrow at this. "What's the Robin Protection Act?" Ochako asked, only for Chris to shush her. "Hey yeah, Momo, what's the RPA?" Mina asked. Momo used her phone to check what the Robin Protection Act is, but only to find nothing. "That's weird, I found nothing on the RPA," Momo said. "Hold on, let me look, my phone has a VPN," Denki said as he checks for the RPA. Denki went wide-eyed as he looks it up. Guys, can you get the teachers here?" Denki said, worried about what he just read. Everyone looked at Denki's phone to read it and were shocked. The definition of the RPA, or Robin Protection Act, is the following. This act, to which is named after the boy wonder Robin, the sidekick and partner of Batman, to protect children and teenagers from the dangers of professional heroism. The first part of this act is that absolutely no one under 21 is to participate to anything heroism related. The second part is that no school besides universities are to teach anything hero-related. Failure to do so will result in the offending school being shut down regardless of the school's reputation. The first two parts scared the students since from what they were reading everything they did was essentially illegal. The entrance exam, the internships, training camp, and their hero studies, all of it illegal, and from what they read should have been shut down ages ago. Ooh. So that's why my uncle from my dad's side didn't want me to study heroism in Japan, Pony said. Hold, how the hell did not know about the RPA? Denki said, knowing full well that Pony was from America. I was homeschooled, Pony said with a smile. That explained it. Okay, now knowing that what we are doing is virtually illegal, Denki, I have to ask how many countries follow the guidelines of the RPA? Momo asked. I agree, there must be other countries that don't follow the RPA. Tenya said, desperate to know if other countries besides were breaking international law. Denki shakes his head and states that 96% of the world follows the law and the 4% is Japan, America, France, and Island. Well, Tenya said, making everyone gasp. Uncle Kachin, the robot man, said a word you would say, Erie said. Whoa, I heard it, unicorn, and I still can't believe it, Katsuki said as he cleaned out his ears in disbelief. Can we get back to the show, please? Tetsu said as Yui nods. After that fiasco, they missed out on some of the contestants, though no one would blame them if they read the RPA. So they just watched the show. Oako ignoring the illegal activities that Ochako and her friend did back in Japan. We bring camper number 20. Chris said as he was really nervous at the illegal stuff Ochako and Izuku did back in Japan would come back to bite him and them. The 20th camper was fat, very fat. He has blonde hair and wears some sneakers, shorts, and a faux team shirt. Wahoo, Chris, what's happening? This is awesome, wahoo, the fat guy said happily. Owen, welcome, Chris said as he welcomes the big camper. Awesome to be here, man. Yeah, man, this is just so, Owen said as he forgot to say the last word. Awesome, Ochako guessed. Yay, awesome. Woo-oh, are you gonna be on my team? Owen asked. Maybe you seem nice, Ochako said as she smiles at Owen. As Owen cheers, another boat came with the 21st camper comes along. Camper 21 is a tan-skinned girl with short brown hair. She wear a short, lightweight gray sweater over an expensive off-white blouse, olive green pants, and a pair of high-heeled sandals. Thank you, Chris. Oh, you must be the other contestants. It's really nice to meet you all. I'm Courtney, by the way, Courtney said. Hey there, I'm Ochako Uraraka. It's nice to meet you, Courtney, Ochako said. How's it going? I'm Owen, Owen excitingly said. Nice to meet you. Oh, wow, Courtney said as she saw perfection. Said form of perfection took the form of the 22nd camper, who was a god in mortal flesh. His body looked like it's sculpted from marble like the statues of the old Greek heroes. Which his t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers can barely contain. His short hair was black like a moonless night. His skin shined brighter than bronze jewelry, and his eyes made the rarest sapphires look like cheap marbles. And now the eye candy of our female viewership. Justin, welcome to TDI Man, Chris said as Justin gets off the boat. Thank Chris, this is great, Justin said as he sees the putty-eyed female and Owen cast mesmerized by his looks. Just so you know, we only picked you because of your looks, Chris honestly said. I can deal with that, Justin said with a grin. The girls all have blushes on their faces while Minta complained about pretty boys getting the girls. Okay, is it hot in here, or is it just him? Toru said as she fanned her face. Oh yeah, I can see that, Mina said as her face has a bit of lilac on it. Hey, what's wrong? Are you sick? Erie said as Izzy made her entrance. Hey guys, Izuku is up, Ojiro said as everyone shuts up and listens in. After Izzy lands, she talks about camp-related stuff, and the boat arrives with camper 24 Aka Izuku. He was wearing a t-shirt that said t-shirt on the front, some jeans and bright red shoes. And our last camper Izuku. Hey Deku, how's Ontario? Chris said. It's been great, Chris. Ochako and I had a lot of fun, Izuku said. Glad you had fun cause the show is about to start, Chris said as Izuku went towards the other campers. Hi everyone, I'm Izuku, Izuku said. Hey man, I'm Owen, let's be friends, Owen said as he gives Izuku a bone-crushing hug. It's nice to meet you, Owen, Izuku said as he's gasping for air. Owen, I think he needs to breathe, Ochako said as Owen lets go of Izuku. Okay guys, we need a group photo for the promos. Everyone to the end of the dock. Chris as everyone went to the dock and got into position, all of them smiling, though Chris did say to Izuku that he should tone down his smile a bit, which he did. As they waited for Chris to take the picture after taking off the cap and replacing the SD card. Okay, got it, everyone say wawanakwa, Chris said as he was about to press the button. Wawanakwa, the campers said as the dock collapsed on them and they fell into the water. Okay, meet me at the campfire in 10 minutes, Chris said as he left. There is no way Chris could have timed that right, Izuku said as he shakes the water out of his hair. Ochako nods at, okay, I gotta agree with Izuku on that one, Hitoshi said as the others nods. Erie giggled at Izuku and Ochako for getting wet. The show goes to commercial as everyone talked about what happened until Class 1A's homeroom teacher arrived. At that moment Denki explained about what happened and shows him the RPA. I will speak to Nezu about this for now, just keep watching the show alright, Aizawa said as he copied all of the info Denki had given him. After that happened, the show was back on. We see Chris talking on his phone with the campers idly by the unlit campfire waiting for him to finish. Oh dude, that is awesome, I'll do it, Chris said as hanged up and sees that the camera aiming at him. Oh, we're on. Well, that was my new boss and some major changes have been made to the show. But before that I like to say that this is Camp Wawanakwa, your home for the next 8 weeks. The campers sitting around you will be your cabin mates, your competition, and maybe your friends, you dig, Chris said as the other campers looked at each other while Duncan bullied Harold. Bullying's dumb, Erie said. Good girl, Erie, never forget that, all right, Mina said as Erie smiles. Katsuki started to sweat bullets. Chris then explained how the sleeping arrangements would work. Tenya was about to commend him until Monoma stopped him. He only does this so that he won't get sued. I bet if he had his way he would make both genders sleep in the same room, Monoma said. Okay, here's the all of you are gonna be split into 2 teams. When I can your name, please stand over there. Oh, one more thing, one of those new changes I mentioned about is related to this, Chris said as he points to a random spot on the ground. Beth, Ochako, Gwen, Heather, Justin, Izzy, Lashana, Lindsay, Noah, Owen, Trent, and the leader of the team is Izuku, Chris said, surprising Izuku. Nanny, leader, me, Izuku shouted. Deku a leader, how? Katsuki shouted. Yay, Deku's a leader, he'll be a good one, I know it, Erie said. Shame that he's with that Heather girl, Itsuka said, not liking Heather. She's a bitch enough, said Big Sis, Pony said. So true, Pony, Setsuna said as Yui nods. Yup, as of this moment you are the leader of the Screaming Gophers, Chris said with a smile on his face as tosses their green team banner. Owen unravels the banner, revealing a picture of a gopher that looked it was ready to fight in the center of the banner. Yeah, I'm a gopher, woo, Owen excitedly said. Great, we're a bunch of rats and our leader is a mumbling twerp, Heather said as Izuku was nervously muttering. I know you can do well, Deku-kun, Ochako said with a smile as Harold raises an eyebrow. Screaming Gophers, really? Why? Tenya said, confused by this. Okay, then on with the next team, Hiryu said. Okay, for the rest you guys, Bridget, Cody, Courtney, DJ, Duncan, Eva, Ezekiel, Tyler, Harold, Katie, Sadie, and the leader is Jeff. Now you guys are known as the Killer Base, Chris said as he tosses the team's red banner. Harold unravels the flag to reveal a red flag with a base with a menacing look on its face. Awesome, it's like amazing, Harold said. I don't feel it, Ryuko said, not impressed with the team name. Yeah, I mean it's just a fish, Bondo said. Yet a killer fish, Sen said as he chuckled. Not sure if Jeff will be a good leader, he looks more like a party animal to be honest, Mina said. Alright then, now to explain how the leader thing works. First leaders can make any reasonable order among their respective teams. Second leaders will be a thing until the teams are dissolved. Third, to vote off a leader, it must be a unanimous vote. If you are off by just 1 vote, you'll need to pick someone else to vote off. And finally, a leader's vote is worth 2 votes, so I'd suggest you be nice to your leaders. Chris said, chuckling a bit. Seems reasonable, and I doubt Izuku will be outed for being a bad leader. Momo said as everyone except for Bakugo agreed that Izuku is a good leader. Well shit, there goes my plan of bullying the nerdy guy. Duncan said, knowing that Party Boy might be the one who votes him off unless he gets on his good side. Okay, I can work with this, Heather said. Heather personally would want the leadership role, but she also knows that if she goes with her game plan as leader it could, for lack of a better word, lead to her early elimination, so she needs to be nice to Izuku at least until the teams are dissolved. Duncan and Heather are the worst kind of bully, Erie said. How so? They only look mean, Ryoko said as Erie shakes her head. They're the smart kind of bully, Erie said. Oh, that's the worst kind of bully, Mina said as Kirishima nods. Alright then, now all campers will be on camera in all public areas, and you can share your innermost secrets via video diaries. You can let the audience know what you're really thinking, or you can get something off your chest, Chris said. Wow, that cool, I guess, Tsuyu said. Okay, so far this sucks, Gwen said. This is a show hosted by Chris McLean, that's to be expected, Monoma said. What happened? Did you compete in a show hosted by this guy? Setsuna asked. Think she made a joke. Monoma was silent and then spoke. I was in a show hosted by him when I was younger, that's why I never wish this on anyone, Monoma said as he shuddered. Even 1A? Pony innocently asked. Yes, even 1A, Monoma said. Holy, I was just making but damn sorry, Monoma, Setsuna said as Monoma waved him off. Beep. I don't get it, where's the camera guy? Lindsay said, not knowing that the camera is right behind her. Nice ass, Mainta and Kosai said at the same time. This caused Tsuyu to slap them with her tongue. Dumbasses, Setsuna mumbled. Beep. A duck was seen putting on lipstick. The duck looks at the camera and shouts. What? I like wearing makeup, it makes me feel pretty, the duck said with a masculine voice. That was really random, Nejire said, confused by what the duck is doing. Yeah, at least the loon feels pretty, Mirio said with a shrug. Men not my problem, Takami said. Beep. I'm actually very nervous right now, especially with the whole leadership thing that Chris is pulling, Izuku said as he twiddled his thumbs. Oh, don't worry, Izuku, you'll be a great leader, Tsuyu said with a tiny blush on her face. Beep. I know Izuku might be nervous right now, but I believe in him. I know he can be a good leader for the Gophers, Ochako said with a smile and a blush. Yeah, you tell them, Urara-chan, Mina said. Yeah, you and Izuku can kick ass, Toru said. I'll pray for your survival, Monoma said as prayed for Izuku and Ochako's safety. Isn't that Vine's stick? Katsuki said. Ibara shrugged and didn't see a problem with Monoma praying for their classmates' safety. Beep. Hey everyone, check this out. I have something very important to say, Owen said as he lets out a fart and laughs. The girls and some guys gagged at the fart and said nothing else. Beep. Okay, before we go to the cabins, I need to explain something. I'm gonna be real with ya. I'm quirkless and thought that the world was unfair despite all of the anti-discrimination laws that are in place, Chris said before Izuku interrupted him. Wait, I've never heard of those laws, have you, Ochako? Izuku said, only for Ochako to shake her head. Chris blinked a few times before moving on. Anyway, all of you are going to competing quirkless. That's right, you're in possession of bracelets, suppresses your quirks. For some, this will no problem, Chris said as Izuku shrugs since he was used to the quirkless life. Is that why I'm not smart anymore, Charles? Lindsay asked. Yes, and it's Chris, and for others it can be bad, Chris said, still regretting giving Lindsay the AK bracelet. The campers now knew that they will be doing the challenges quirkless since they had these abilities all their lives. They had it easy. Now Chris just took that away from them, which was lame. Now they arrive at a part of camp where 2 cabins are at. McLean is quirkless, Ibara said, surprised at this. He is, and that's why it's not surprising. He takes the chance to legally torture quirked people for all the time he was bullied, Monoma said. Whatever happened to his bullies? Mina asked. Last I heard they're still in a mental hospital constantly saying sorry to Chris. Monoma said. Now then, Gophers, you're in the east cabin. Base, you're in the west, Chris said. As everyone went to their cabins, Ochako was the first to enter the cabin and took a look around. The room itself was simple and had a few pieces of furniture. Ooh, cool bunk beds, Ochako said, only for Heather to scoff at it. Bunk beds? Isn't this a little summer camp? Heather said. Gwen pushes Heather aside and goes inside the cabin. That's the idea, genius, Gwen said. Shut up, weird goth girl, Heather said. You're so smart, Cody said as he somehow got into the girls' side of the other team. Shouldn't you be on the boys' side of the other team? Gwen said as she yeets Cody out of the room, making him eat dirt. Damn poor Cody, but Gwen is totally out of his league, Mina said, pitying Cody. I agree, maybe that Katie girl would be a good match for him, Satsuna said as Pony nods. Where are the outlets? I need to plug my straightening iron, Lindsay said. There are some in the communal bathrooms just across the way, Chris said as he pointed to where the bathrooms are. Communal bathrooms, but I'm not Catholic, Lindsay said. Not communion, communal, Chris corrected. It means we shower together, idiot, Gwen said as Lindsay complained about it. Ibara eyebrow twitches at the Catholic comment. Gosh, I don't see the need of those things. Then again, I never could afford them, Ochako said with a shrug. Oh man, this is going to be a long 8 weeks, Izuku said. You said it, Izuku, you said it, man, Noah said as he went back inside. Excuse me, Chris, is there a chaperone in this facility? The leader of the killer base asked. With 2 exceptions, you're all 18 years old, enough to be sits in a normal summer camp, so other than myself and a few others, you'll be unsupervised. You've got 30 minutes to unpack and head for the main lodge starting now, Chris said as he leaves. Well shoot, that's a recipe for disaster, I can see it, Tokoyami said as he shakes his head. I don't think it will reach that point, but still, Dark Shadow said. Nice man, Jeff said as he heads inside. Izuku was unpacking his stuff, and some of that stuff were several new notebooks ready to be filled out, all called Contestants Quirk Heroics for the Future Vol 20, and placed them under his bottom bunk. Yo Shrimpy, what that you got there? Duncan asked. Just some notebooks for my hobby, Izuku nervously said. Hobby? Well, out with it, Duncan said. Analyzing quirks, Izuku said as Noah listened in. You have an example of one? Noah asked. I do hear, though this on in particular is mostly guesswork, Izuku said as he gave Noah the old notebook. Noah gives it a look and was amazed by Izuku's work, as was Duncan. I don't know if Midoriya-chan's notes wouldn't be that useful, granted his mumbling is kind of creepy, Tsuyu said. Damn, little man, I know a few people that would pay top dollar for this notebook, a good 20 to 30 grand to be exact, Duncan said with a grin. I could be very, very wrong though, Tsuyu said. Damn, $20,000 to $30,000, that's a lot of money, Pony said. And all from Midoriya's notebooks, Mirio said. Say, Miss Momo, did any of you read Deku's book? Erie asked. Class 1A was silent in realizing that they never read Midoriya's books at all. They did everything themselves. Really, dude, I'd say you're stupid in thinking that, but since it's true, I can't blame ya, Noah said. You don't think it's creepy? Izuku said. Not really. In fact, if you show this and your other notebooks to places like Stanford or Harvard, you'd not only get a master's degree, but a doctorate in quirk analysis, Noah said. Oh, come on, it can't be that good, Izuku said as Noah raised an eyebrow. Actually, I was being serious. Show this to any major Ivy League university, and you'll get both your degree and doctorate, Noah said as he was actually being serious. Momo and Tenya were speechless when Noah said that. Momo got up from her seat and went into Izuku's dorm room and found one of his recent notebooks about Class 1A. Upon reading it, she realized that this was indeed doctorate levels of analysis. She went down and just said, His analysis is that of doctorate level, and all of us were fools in not reading them, Momo said as she sat back down. Are really that dumb for not reading Midoriya's notebooks, Mina said with a grin. Momo didn't say anything and just gave a notebook about Mina, thus making her pale. Never mind, I take back what I said. I'm a total dumbass, Mina said as she continued to watch the show, which boiled down a pair of confessionals by Duncan and Noah saying that Japan was not an ideal place to live if you are quirkless. Next they saw the food and well, they were grossed out and gasped at the fact that the food was alive. And then Chris came by and told them that their first challenge was in an hour. What do you think they'll make us do? Katie said, nervous about the first challenge. It our first challenge, how hard can it be? DJ said. Guys, I think DJ summoned Murphy, Ochako said as she chuckles. I think Roundface is right, Katsuki said as they saw a giant cliff. Oh shit, was all DJ said as he sees the size of the cliff. Me and my big mouth, Ochako said. Both hero classes, the big three, Hitoshi, Mei and Erie, all agreed that the cliff is just too damn big. Okay, your first challenge has 3 parts. This first one is very simple. You jump off this 1,000-foot high cliff and into the lake below, Chris said, making the campers get overconfident. Piece of cake, right guys? Bridget said with a smirk. Everyone watching facepalmed at Bridget's comment. If you look down, you'll 2 areas. The wider area is filled with psychotic freshwater man-eating sharks. The smaller area is a safe zone, i.e. the one you're after, which is shark-free, I think, Chris said. Excuse, but what the fuck? Lashana shouted. How is this legal? Izuku said, wondering how the hell he got this approved by the network. I agree, how in 9 hells is this legal? Momo shouted. McLean always makes ironclad contracts and makes sure that no one can sue him, Monoma said. How do you that, Monoma-san? Momo asked. My parents tried suing, and it didn't work. Lucky my family's lawyer told them that it was better to give up and not fight this battle, Monoma said. They just watched the show and listened to Chris about the challenge, which was this: jump off the cliff and hope to God you landed on the safe zone. So who's up? Eva to Duncan mentions something about ladies first. Okay, no big deal, just an insane cliff dive into a pool of angry sharks, Bridget said as dives head first towards the lake. She manages to land on the target zone, which emboldens the rest of the killer base. Tyler jumps right after Bridget, only to land on a boy, but thankfully into the safe zone. He was soon followed by Eva, Duncan, Cody, Ezekiel, Katie and Sadie, who all landed in the safe zone. Jeff was about to jump until he saw DJ looking scared. Yo, Harold, jump for me while I talk to DJ, all right? Jeff asked as Harold jumps off the cliff, landing on the safe zone, only for him to land on his nuts as well. His cries of pain was so loud that even the psychotic man eating sharks winced at what happened. Ouch, even I felt that and don't even have man bits, Ochako said as she winced at what happened to Harold. I'm pretty sure Mainta, Zero and Denki protecting their balls right now, Izuku said as he was doing the same. You're right, Midoriya, hell, even Kosai is doing that, Mainta said as he is covering his balls. Denki, Zero and Kosai are doing the same. Ouch, even the psychotic man eating sharks feel bad for Harold. Okay, not a sentence I would ever say, Mina said as Toru nods. Ooh, oh, Harold got hurt bad, Erie said. Yes, small child, he got hurt bad, Mainta said as the show continued. At least the other bases made it out okay, Itsuka said. Yo, DJ, you okay, man? Jeff asked. Nah, man, I'm afraid of heights since I was a kid due to the fact a psycho of a villain nearly dropped me from the Empire State Building, DJ said as he gives his reason for his fear. Dude, I know it's scary, but I also know for a fact that the team is counting on you, me and Courtney, to win this. So how about if I jump first, then you go ahead, okay? Jeff said as DJ nods. Jeff jumps and lands on the safe zone, which gave DJ courage. Jeff's right, if he can do it, so can I, DJ said as he jumps off the cliff and lands on the safe zone. Oh yeah, brah, go man, Jeff shouted as DJ went to shore. Chris, I have a medical condition, Courtney said as Chris rolled his eyes. Okay, but just to let you know, if you chicken out your team might lose and they'll hate you, Chris said. It's a risk I'm willing to take, besides I've seen the other team, they won't jump, Courtney arrogantly said. Pride cometh before the fall, Ibara said as she shakes her head at Courtney's arrogance. Agreed, Ibara-san, Momo said. Okay, but you now have to take the chicken path down and wear this hat for the rest of the day, Chris said as he makes Courtney wear the chicken hat and points towards an escalator to which Courtney used it to go down. Kanoko looked at the escalator and wondered. Hey, where the escalator come from? Kanoko asked, wondering where the escalator came from. The audience wondered where it came from, but ignored it. Okay, this might be bad, Izuku said, knowing that for them to win the advantage, everyone needs to jump. Screaming Gophers, you're next, Chris said. Okay, I'll go first. I hope that with my example you'll all can jump, Izuku said as he takes off his shirt, revealing his physique to not only Canada but the world. Wow, mommy likes, Lindsay said with a little bit of blood coming out of her nose. God damn, Lashana said as Gwen wolf whistles. Whoa, Heather amazed at Izuku physique. Izzy openly drools while Beth checks to see if her glasses aren't broken. As for Ochako, well, I know that I support Izuacha, but damn, I want Deku, Mina said. Yeah, any girl would want Izuku, Setsuna said with a blush. Pony and Tsuyu looked at each other and nodded. We ask Ochako if she's willing to share, Tsuyu and Pony said at the same time. The other girls heard them and blushed. Damn dude, how get that way? Trent asked as he wondered how he can get a rock-hard bod like Izuku's. A combination of community service and an exercise plan called Aim to Pass the American Dream Plan, Izuku said. Damn, was it the original version or the revised version? Trent asked. The original, I think also there's a revised version, Izuku asked, wondering what Trent was talking about. Yeah, their fitness experts say that the original version was flawed as all 9 hells, but I see it worked for you, I guess, Noah said. I don't believe it is Cinnamon Rollies Maximus, Justin said as he went wide-eyed. I effing knew, Minta shouted. Beep. I live to see a Cinnamon Rollies Maximus, the ultimate combination of cute and sexy. My beloved mother told me that they only appear once every 1,000 generations. God, what a time to be alive. Well, at least he won't have to worry about getting laid because a Cinnamon Rollies Maximus usually have harems of 5 to 8 girls, Justin happily said. Beep. Damn, also that harem number nice, Mina said. I mean Justin isn't wrong, Toru said regarding the part of Izuku being ultimate combination of cute and sexy. I do believe that Toga Girl wouldn't mind being in a harem, Pony said. I think so as long Ochako is in it, those everyone knows not to touch crazy, Tsuyu said. They still talk about on how hot Izuku is and many guys were jealous. Look, Midoriya is about to jump, Shoto said as everyone looked at the screen. Okay, let's do this. Plus Ultra Izuku said as he jumps off the cliff and lands in the safe zone. Yay, Izuku did it. Erie cheered as the rest clapped at Izuku jump, while Mina, Tsuyu, Setsuna and Pony pulled out signs provided by Momo that had the number 10 on it. The rest of Izuku's team jumped until Justin missed his mark. Oh no, Justin, Izuku shouted as the sharks came closer only to stop and get a good look at him. You guys mind giving me a lift? Justin asked, to which the sharks nodded and were instantly infatuated with Justin. Did that just happen, guys? Siro asked, not sure if he was seeing things. Did that just happen, guys? Izuku asked, not sure if he was hallucinating. Everyone chuckled at the echo. Yeah, that just happened, Ochako said as Justin was brought back to shore via shark. And weird part about it is that I usually need my quirked form to charm animals. My new quirkless form is far more powerful than I realized, Justin said. Okay then, Izuku said. If he can do that in his quirkless form, as he called it, what will his quirked form look like? Yui asked. That's a good question, Yui, Itsuka said. Okay, Owen, your team is tied with the base. All you have to do is jump. Think you can handle it? Chris said as Owen walked back to get a running start. Beep. I know this is odd, but I'm not a strong swimmer, Owen said. Beep. I take a look at this guy, and I said to myself, there is no way he can do this, Jeff said. Beep. I honestly thought if he jumps this, he was going to die, Gwen said, worried about Owen. Beep. I know Owen may not look it, but I think he can do this, Izuku said. Beep. Nice to see Izuku supporting his teammate, Tenya said. Yeah, that manly of him, Kirishima said. Fat ass better jump, Katsuki mumbled. Okay, I'm going to die. I am going to fucking die now, Owen said. Come on, Owen, go beyond, plus ultra, Izuku said. Rah, oh crap, Owen shouted as he ran towards the cliff, and he jumped off the cliff and landed on the safe zone, making a giant splash which caused one of the sharks to land on a tree. The winners of the first part of the challenge is the Screaming Gophers, Chris said as the Gophers cheered while the base gave death glares at Courtney. Oh, and that was awesome, Izuku said, but noticed that he was not moving. Ochako noticed this as well. You okay, Owen? Ochako asked. I think I lost my shorts, Owen said with a blush. Sounds of disgust were made at this. Hell yeah, the Gophers are in the lead, Kirishima said. They soon see the Screaming Gophers were enjoying the advantage of their victory, as they did the second part of the challenge, which consisted of bringing the crates to the campgrounds and using the carts that Chris gave them. They pitied the killer base because they had to drag their crates by hand, all the while a fly stung Courtney's eye and the twins squatted on poison ivy. Damn, I feel bad for the base, Yui said. Yeah, I mean dragging the boxes by hand followed by a Courtney getting stung by a black fly and Katie and Sadie squatting on poison ivy, Kota said as they see the show. Come on dudes, just because one of us made a bad call, Jeff started to say, which prompted a hey from Courtney and a shut up from everyone else. But we can still win this, and besides Eva can help us win the challenge easy with her chompers, Jeff said as Eva opened her mouth to reveal shark-like teeth. Beep. Yeah, it's a passive part of my quirk. Even with a stupid bracelet on my arm, I still have my teeth, Eva said as she shows her teeth. Yeah, awesome for you guys because you're gonna need it for the third part of the challenge, which is opening the crates with your teeth and building a hot tub with what's inside them. The team with the best hot tub wins the challenge and keeps the for the remainder of the competition, Chris said. Okay, now I know I'm not supposed to curse in front of Erie, but now Chris is being an asshole, Nejire said with a pout. Welcome to a show hosted by Chris McLean, Manama said. Okay, let's do this thing, Cody said as Eva got started in opening the boxes with her teeth. Turns out they did try and beat the Gophers, but it was not meant to be, as the Screaming Gophers under the leadership of Izuku worked like a well-oiled machine while the killer base flopped in building one. Okay, let's see the hot tubs. First up, Screaming Gophers, Chris said as he inspects the hot tub. Izuku and the other Gophers are nervous as Chris inspected the hot tub. Damn, not bad. Hell, I would use this myself, Chris said as he went to the killer base's hot tub. Chris goes up towards the base's hot tub, and after a few pokes and prods it falls apart. Well then, I guess the winner is obviously the Screaming Gophers, Chris said as the Gophers celebrated with Owen dancing around naked. They still hadn't found his shorts. Oh god, I hope they censored that, Izuku said as he pinches the bridge of his nose. Me too, hopefully Nejire covers Erie's eyes on that part, Ochako said as Izuku nods. Way ahead of you, Ochako-chan, Nejire said as she covers Erie's eyes. They soon see everyone eating after the challenge, where Duncan said to drop Courtney since she was the only one to not jump, and then Ezekiel said something stupid and very outdated. Luckily Ochako kicked his ass. I saw what you did to Ezekiel, and it was awesome, your avity. But anywho, before I take the base for their first elimination, I like to announce that after each challenge one member of each team will receive these, Chris said as he shows two trophies, both in the form of the team symbols. Whoa, what are those? Izuku asked. I'm glad you asked. These are the Platinum Gopher and Platinum Base. These bad boys are offered to the most valuable player of each team. For example, DJ, you get yours for facing your fears, and Izuku, you get one as well for getting your whole team to jump. Congrats, Chris said as he gives the trophies to Izuku and DJ. Thanks man, DJ said, happy for receiving the trophy but also facing his fears. Arigato, Chris-san, Izuku said as he held on to the trophy. No need to worry about that, and they're valuable because they earn you a juicy $10,000 reward, and if you open the secret compartment of your trophies, it reveals 5 imported chocolate bars in assorted flavors. The cash will be given to buy 1-2 means being eliminated or until the competition is over, Chris said as Izuku finds said compartment with the chocolates in them. Our new boss must be rich as hell to afford that, Chef said. I guess the guy must be rich as hell, Monoma said, wondering what kind who both crazy and rich enough to reign in Chris McLean. Beep. Yeah, I know my new boss is rich as all nine hells, but if I just do as he says about certain things I could do whatever I want to the campers. That includes the leaders, MVP awards, and hiring my new employee Daniel and not being allowed to fire him, which is weird. Chris said as he shrugged on that last bit. Beep. Despite how weird my new job is, I love it either way. Awesome pay, great benefits, but for some reason the boss really likes me and I have no idea why. I only hope those kids will be alright with Chris, though I expect most of them will be traumatized by the end of this. Daniel said. Beep. Wow, even if I don't win the grand prize, if I can just get one of those rewards, it will help my parents immensely. Ochako said with her game face on. Beep. I hope Ochako gets a platinum gopher for her family. Tenya said. I guess even that Daniel guy found his new boss weird. Mina said. Agree it's odd for someone to like a certain employee. Momo said. The pay must certainly good well that and Chris can't fire the guy for some reason. Setsuna said. Guys, shut up, the elimination is starting. Toru said. Welcome Killer Base to the first elimination ceremony. In my hand, I have a plate of marshmallows. In any other circumstance, these would be a tasty treat for all to enjoy around the campfire. But here in this camp, they are the key of you staying here. Chris said as he holds the plate of marshmallows. Everyone was nervous about this, wondering who voted for who. Now then, I call your names, you will come and get your marshmallow. The person who doesn't get a marshmallow has to walk down the dock of shame, take the loser boat, and never come back ever, Chris said as he scared the campers of the killer base. Chris takes a good look of all the campers of the KB and smiles. Okay, first marshmallow goes to Jeff, Tyler, DJ, Eva, Bridget, Cody, Katie and Sadie, Duncan, Harold. As soon as Harold gets his marshmallow, both Courtney and Ezekiel looked worried. Chris started pointing and contently switching between the two until he stopped. Ezekiel, Chris said, giving Ezekiel the last marshmallow. When the last camper is announced, the girls got pissed. Minta bravely asked Momo for some noise-canceling headphones for Erie. Momo makes them in the shape of bunny ears and puts them on Erie. With that done, the girls starting cursing like sailors. Hell, the words that were said would make veteran seamen blush. I can't believe it, man. Oh, and girls, I promise to change my ways, mostly because I don't want Ochako flipping and pinning me down again. Ezekiel said. Dude, I'm gonna be honest with ya, I thought you'll be the first to go. Courtney, I'm sorry to say, but you lost. It's the loser boat for you. Chris said as she got up and walked towards the team. I'm guessing he's not going is for the fact that he jumped and I didn't, Courtney asked, but knew the answer. Yeah, it was, but if it makes you feel better, I know that none of the girls voted against you. Jeff said, making Courtney smile. Correction, none of the girls and myself didn't vote. My reason is this: several of my aunts are small-time pro heroes. They'd kick my ass if I didn't vote him off. I thought it'd be a tie, but then I remember that party boy's vote count for 2. Duncan said with a smirk. Are you effing kidding me? Ezekiel is staying because of the leader's vote? Setsuna said, angry at the fact that Ezekiel was staying. I know that's so wrong. Well, fuck him, Momo said. Amen, sister, Setsuna said as she fist bumped her fellow recommendation student. I suppose it's in small victories, I guess, and Ezekiel did say he would change his ways, Courtney said as DJ gave her some chocolates. From me and Izuku for the trip back home, DJ said. Give Izuku my thanks, Courtney said as she walks the dock of shame to the loser boat with imported chocolates in hand. Awa, how nice of Izuku and DJ, Erie said. Courtney waves goodbye as the boat leaves. The base celebrate not only for their lost comrade, but also for being able to stay here another week. Izuku and the other screaming gophers are having a blast in their new hot tub, though Izuku was nervous about 2 things. One was that Ochako was next to him in a pink 2-piece bikini, and second was the whole leader thing. Damn you, Midoriya, Minta mumbled. Izu, come man, enjoy yourself and live a little, Owen excitingly shouted. I have to say, Izuku, I'm impressed on how you handled it, Gwen said. Gwen's right. Chris did well right in making you leader, Lashana said. I hope I don't let you guys down, Izuku said. I know you won't, Heather said. Hey Izumo and Omalo, how did your high school principal owed Caspian a favor? Lindsay said. Izuku and Ochako looked at each other and said, We don't know, Izuku and Ochako said at the same time. Wait, Nezu owed Chris a favor, Momo said. Apparently so, Yayurazu-san, Tenya said as Shoto nods. Chris comes along with the rest of the KB heads for their cabins. Chris did the outrow. Alrighty, with the first loser out of her, I can safely say that this will be awesome. Will Izuku F up his role? Will Ezekiel start to realize that his view have been outdated for 200 years, and more importantly, who will be the next one to the loser boat? Find out next time on. Chris said. Total Drama Island. Well, that was nice, except for Ezekiel, of course, Momo said as she grumbled about the stupid leader vote. And the RPA basically telling us that our education is illegal, Mina said with a pout. True, it's shameful that our trails are for naught, Tenya said. Not completely, we did learn a lot, Shoto said, remembering the sports festival. Everyone agreed with Shoto, and soon they all went to bed, hoping that the next episode won't be so crazy. We see Chris at the docks once more giving the recap. Last time on Total Drama Island, the screaming Gophers kicked butt in the Awake-a-thon when Duncan took a snooze in the can, thus making the killer base lose for a second time in a row. Harsh, Chris said as footage of the Awake-a-thon is shown. It showed the Gophers winning the Awake-a-thon and Duncan asleep in a bathroom stall. Chris continued to speak. Heather orchestrated the first TDI alliance by convincing Lindsay, Beth, and Tyler to join forces with her. Heather would have pocketed Eva's MP3 player, but Izuku found it first and gave it back to her. In the end, it was Tyler that had to go to the loser boat, thus making Heather a tad weaker. Chris said as footage of Tyler elimination was shown. Who will break the rules of their new alliance? Will Ochako stay awake for the whole episode? Who will take the next humiliating walk down the dock of shame? And when will our two illegal Japanese heroes in training confess their feelings? Stay tuned for the most dramatic campfire ceremony yet on, Churs said with a grin. Total Drama Island. Play intro. Main Lodge. We find the campers at the main lodge with the Gophers eating their meal while the killer base is still tired. At that moment, Chris walks in and notices Duncan sleeping. Duncan, you like shit, dude, Chris said. Duncan, too tired to properly insult Chris, simply told him to stuff while Ezekiel explained that Harold snored all night. Whoa, 4 nights with no sleep? How much are you hurting, dude? Chris asked. Duncan, getting pissed off at this point, got up and glared at Chris. Wanna find out? Duncan said as the rest of the base hid from Duncan. Chris, seeing that it might get ugly, backed off. No, it's cool, Chris said with raised hands and backed off. Soon Harold enters the lodge looking tired and has a marker mustache. Everyone snickered at the ridiculous mustache as Harold sat down to eat. Harold soon notices the base laughing at him, and Jeff pointed out the mustache, and once Harold looked at it, he liked it and thought it was cool. Hey everyone, it's Ochako, Chris said as a dead tired and blushing Ochako came in with an equally blushing Izuku. The Gophers cheered for Ochako as she and Izuku sat down. I'm so tired, I can't feel my face, Ochako said as she faints. Confessional booth. Beep. Dude, we are so sucking right now. Okay, yes, Courtney would have been useful, but she chickened out of the challenge. Had she jumped, we would have tied, Ezekiel said. Beep. Main Lodge. Back at the main lodge, Heather was explaining the rules of the alliance while Izuku went to Ochako and patted her on the back. Hey Ochako, are you okay? Izuku asked. Yet just tired and embarrassed by what happened this morning, Ochako said with a blush. Izuku blushed as well, remembering what had happened this morning as well. As for what happened that morning was that both of them were sleeping in the same, which resulted in a lot of teasing from Chris and Chef. The campers didn't seem to mind since they knew that they were dead tired, but they soon began to tease when Chris gave Izuku some condoms, which ignited the high schoolers and commenced the teasing from the camper. The awkward silence was stopped when Heather dodged a spoonful of oatmeal, launched by Ezekiel, which hit Ochako. Missed me, Heather said as Ochako stood up and dropped her food on Heather. Gah, you doll-faced bitch, Heather said as Ochako smirked. Chris came back to announce the challenge will start in 10 minutes. Beach. We soon find the campers on the beach within a plexiglass structure. Duncan is also the last person in the structure, as he laid down on the bleachers. "Wake me up and it'll be the last thing you do," Duncan said as he fell asleep. The base complained to Harold now without his marker mustache about his snoring. "Today is the classic game of dodgeball," Chris said as the word dodgeball gave Izuku Nam-style flashbacks. For Izuku it was Dekuball and not dodgeball, where everyone threw the balls at Izuku, even his own team would forfeit just to throw the balls at him. Despite this, Izuku knows the rules well. If you get hit, you're out. If you catch the ball, the thrower out, and you can bring someone from your team back to game. You can deflect the ball to defend yourself, and if you drop the ball, you're out. Chris said the best of 5 games win. Soon both teams picked out their players. For the KB it was DJ, Ezekiel, Katie, Eva and Harold. For the SG it was Heather, Lindsay, Justin, Lashana and Izzy. Bring it on. Fishies, otherwise winning 3 times in a row won't be as satisfying, Heather said with a grin. You're going down, you Korean bitch, Eva said as she snarled at Heather. Soon the game began, and it was fierce, which soon became only Cody against Justin and Heather. Okay, let's see if this works, Cody said as he threw the ball, which somehow curved and hit Justin's ass. My ass, my sweet glorious ass, Justin said as he rubbed his ass. That is one tough ball to dodge. Also, is that shot legal, chef? Chris asked. Yeah, it is. Scanners say that no quirk factor was used for that shot, chef said. Confessional booth. Beep. Okay, I didn't expect that to work, but I'm glad I learned that shot from Granddad, Cody said with a grin. Beep. Back at the dodgeball court. Okay then, Heather, here comes the static special, Cody said as he rubs the ball on his shirt, causing it to build up static electricity. Soon Cody throws the ball and Heather dodges, only for the ball to home in on Heather. Heather tried to run, but in the end, the ball hits Heather, giving the base the first win. Okay, what the hell, chef? Chris said as chef gives the okay, telling Chris that the shot is legal. The base cheered as Cody comes back towards his team. Nice job, Cody, Jeff said. Yeah, my granddad taught me those shots, so no biggie, Cody said with a smile. Soon the SG and KB are back at the field ready to play. The teams for the second game are as follows. KB, Sadie, Katie, Eva, Bridget and Jeff. SG, Lindsay, Beth, Owen, Trent and Izzy. The base gave the ball to Eva, which she manages to hit Lindsay and Beth. When Owen saw Lindsay get hit, he got mad. Great Gatsby, that is it, game on, Owen said as he single-handedly destroys the killer base. Jeff was hit so bad that Chris replayed the impact multiple times for his amusement. Ooh, he dropped it like it was hot, Lashana said as the Gophers cheered on. Hey Lindsay, you okay? Owen asked. Is my face still okay? Lindsay asked. It's perfect, Lind, Owen said with a smile. Heather looked at the scene before her and shrugged. At least it wasn't with Tyler. Then she looked at Noah, who was simply lazy. At least someone is trying today, Heather said as Noah gave a non-enthusiastic cheer. Heather, let it go. Even if we put Noah on the field, he'll most likely lost on purpose, Izuku said as Heather sighs, so she went to trash talk the killer base. The base, knowing that they will lose the challenge, all knew that they need Duncan, so they got a big stick to poke him with. After a few pokes and Jeff threatening to send Duncan home, he agreed to play only if they did what he said. The killer base won the next match thanks to Duncan's simple yet very effective strategy called Rush the New Guy. Ochako did manage to hit Ezekiel for the whole oatmeal thing. The Gophers did win another match, making the teams tie. Soon it was the tiebreaker game. Both teams did well, but soon it was down to Harold and Owen. The base has pretty much accepted that they lost until Harold dodged like if he was in the Matrix. This made everyone's jaw drop, even Noah's. Chef had to once again check to see if a quirk was used, and it wasn't. Jeff called for a timeout as Harold went back to the bleachers. Everyone was impressed by Harold's dodging. Duncan even asked where he learned to do that. Figure skating, Harold said. Harold, that was awesome, but dodging isn't enough, Jeff said. He's right, to win you have to throw him out, which we know you can't do, Eva said. or catch the ball. Can you do that? Cody said. Definitely, Harold said as he got up ready to play. The killer base cheered Harold on as Owen tossed the ball. It impacted Harold into the wall, but he had caught the ball. The killer base win, Chris said as the KB cheered on. We lost, I can't believe it, Ochako said, now wide awake. Yeah, believe it, dollface, we lost, Heather said. Chris walked up to the Gophers to ask what happened. Noah then spoke up. What can I say, team effort was lacking, Noah said until he saw the angry faces of Ochako and Heather. Noah, run, Izuku ordered. I was going to do that anyway, Noah said as he ran for the hills with Ochako and Heather on his tail. Izuku shakes his head as the groups head back to the cabins until nightfall. Confessional booth. Beep. I guess I'm kind of a role model, now that I won the Dodgeball challenge. People will probably all want my autograph when this show is over and stuff. Not to mention that I still have 10 grand thanks to me getting the platinum base, Harold said as he shows off his trophy. Beep. I'll admit I used to pick on guys that did figure skating as a hobby, but no more if it can help me move, like I might take a course in the summer after all this shit is done, Duncan said. Beep. Nighttime. Campfire site. It was now nighttime, and it was time for the campfire elimination, as Chris explained to the screaming Gophers. Since it was the first time they lost, we see Noah, who is beaten black and blue thanks to Ochako, and Heather sitting next to Owen, who is holding his platinum Gopher for his berserker moment. Okay, when I call out your name, get your marshmallow, all right? Chris said as the campers nod. Izuku. Owen. Heather. Ochako. Beth. Lindsay. June. Trent. Izzy. Lashana. It was down to Justin and Noah. All right then, Justin. Noah, you're on the chopping block. The camper who is going to the dock of shame to the boat of losers, Chris said. Silence hanged over their heads. Chris smiles as he goes to pick the camper. Justin, Chris said as he gave the last marshmallow. Well, damn, though, to be fair, I think it's for the best, Noah said. I'm guessing Deku-kun told you that Chris's challenges will be tougher, Ochako asked as Noah gets up to leave. Yeah, now thinking about it, in all of McLean's shows there are hardly any mental challenges, so best if I jump ship now before I get myself killed, Noah said. Soon Noah was saying goodbye to everyone and Cody gave him his chocolate. Soon everyone went back to the cabin. Chris looks at the campers, then at the camera. And so another loser is eliminated. The Gophers suffered their first loss and down a member. Who will be the next one on the boat of losers? Find out next time on, Chris said with a grin. Total Drama Island. With Izuku. Izuku was thinking about how they would do challenges. But he thinks they can do it, at least until the spilt. He knows that he'll need to make an alliance with Ochako for this to work. Confessional booth. Beep. Before coming here, I have watched a good majority of Chris-san's show, and so far it's just what I'm expecting, Izuku said as he crossed his arms. Beep. Last time, on Total Drama Island, the killer base finally dodged their pathetic losing streak against the screaming Gophers. There were bruises, tears, and dangerous alliances. And in the end, it was Noah the know-it-all who didn't see it coming, Chris said as footage of the dodgeball was shown, especially the part where Noah was hit with a ball. This week, another challenge will send one more camper on a cruise to Loserville. Population 4. Who will sink and who will stay afloat? Find out right now on, Chris said as he does the last part of the intro. Total Drama Island. Play intro. The day starts in screaming Gopher's girls' cabin with Lindsay complaining about running out of fake tanner and having to tan in the sun. Gwen would have been done with Lindsay's complaints and lack of boundaries if it wasn't for the fact of her ACK bracelet made her dumb. Ochako took this moment to wake up as well. God, it's good to get some real sleep after more than 3 days with no sleep, Ochako said as she woke up. Oh hey, the Osha, did you have any nice dreams about cinnamon rolls? Lindsay said with a smirk. This made Ochako turn into a tomato and left the cabin. The other girls were already up when they saw Ochako run away. The other Gopher girls looked at Lindsay with wide eyes. What? Look at me in the eye and tell me that Osha doesn't like Emmanuel, Lindsay said with a knowing look on her face. Confessional booth. Beep. Well, she's not wrong. I mean, come, it's kind of obvious. Gwen said. Yeah, I can totally see Ochako liking Izuku. I mean, it's so obvious. Beth said. Yeah, yo, Gravity Girl, make sure you get your man soon or some random floozy gets him. Lashana said. Izzy was seen giggling at the prospect of Izuku and Ochako dating. Oh yeah, I would love to see them dating, Izzy said, grinning like a ninny. Beep. Heather scoffed at this. Okay, I will admit that he's cute, hot, smart and other shit, but I know full well that if they hook up they'll forge an alliance once the split happens, so that means I have to get them to hook up when one of them gets eliminated. Heather said, not completely against Izuku and Ochako dating. Beep. Oh my god, I would so love that Izuku and Ochako would date each other, Sadie said as she squealed. I know we can go on triple dates once we gets boyfriends, Katie said as she squealed as well. Izuku and Ochako. Yeah, I could see that work, they're so cute together, Bridget said. I say she should get him sooner than later, Eva said. Beep. Campgrounds. Chris soon took to make an announcement. All right, campers, enough beauty sleep. Time to show us what you are made of, Chris said as the campers groaned at this. Sometime later. Soon all of the campers are at a stage. Lindsay asked if they were going to see a musical and Trent offered Gwen a seat. Meanwhile, Owen sat between Izuku and Ochako, but then Owen got up telling them that Cody called for something. Owen chuckled as the two cinnamon roll blushed as they were now sitting next to each other. Confessional booth. Beep. Me and the guys made a betting pool for when Izuku and Ochako would get together. Up till now there's like $2,000 on the pool. I'm betting that they get together post-split, Owen said with a grin. Beep. At that moment Chris appeared. Welcome to our brand new deluxe state-of-the-art outdoor amphitheater, Chris said as he shows off the amphitheater. Huh, looks nice, Ochako said. I hope it's constructed well, Ochako thought as she looks at the amphitheater. Okay, this week's challenge is a summer camp favorite, a talent contest, Chris said as he pointed at the crowd. Yes, awesome, Owen said. This is something Gyro would totally dominate, Izuku said as Ochako nods. Each of your leaders have 8 hours to pick 3 most talented members of your team. These 4 will represent your team in the show, sing, dance, or juggle, just as long as the talent is legal, Chris said as he explains the challenge and eyes Duncan. Duncan snapped his fingers when Chris said that the talent had to be legal. You'll be judged by a resident talent scout, former DJ, VJ, and rap legend, Grand Master Chef, who will show his approval via the chef-o-meter, Chris said. Huh, I'm guessing the team that gets the most points wins, right? Bridget said as Chris nodded. Soon Chris got off the stage and the teams went their separate ways. Sometime later. Okay, everyone, we have 8 hours to pick which of the 4 of us will compete in the challenges, Izuku said to the campers. So what do you need, Izuku? Gwen said as Trent appeared with a muffin and gave it to Gwen. Okay, I need to know what you guys are good at and we'll pick from there, Izuku as everyone nods. With the killer base. Katie and Sadie were show their dance moves and they were bad at it. Everyone was silent at this until Ezekiel spoke. Jeff, I know you're the leader, but you cannot let those 2 dance, Ezekiel said. Is it because they're girls? Bridget said angrily. No, it's because they suck at it. My cousin can dance better than those 2, and she has a mutation quirk that literally gives her 2 left feet, Ezekiel said as he shows them a picture of his cousin with her 2 left feet. Sorry girls, but we need to win, so we have to say no to your dance routine, Jeff said, making both girls sad, but they accepted. They had hoped the base were having a tough time as well. With the Screaming Gophers. For the Screaming Gophers, it's going a lot better for them as Owen demonstrated that he could burp the alphabet. This impressed the guys except Izuku and grossed out the girls. Okay Owen, we can use it if there's a need for a tiebreaker or if we can't find anything else, Izuku said as Owen nods. Heather was disgusted at both the fact Owen burped, but also Izuku agreeing to use it as a last resort. I can also toot Beethoven's 5th Symphony, Owen said as he crouched down butt facing towards them. Everyone stopped Owen before he farted. With the killer base. Back with the killer base, Cody was playing with a keyboard, showing off his decent skills with it. "Okay dude, you're in," Jeff said with a grin. With the screaming Gophers. With the Gophers, Heather was showing off her ballet skills after they picked Trent to sing and play guitar. "I guess I'm in right," Heather said as she tried to intimidate Izuku. But Izuku was unfazed by it. "Okay then Trent, Heather, the both of you are in. Now we just need to find 2 more, alright," Izuku said. "I can show off my sexiness," Justin said as he took off his shirt, showing off his body. "Sorry Justin, but I don't think it will be enough. If this was a modeling contest, then yes I would use you, but," Izuku sadly said. "It's okay Izuku, I don't mind that," Justin said with a smile and puts on a pair of sunglasses. Izuku's smile nearly causes everyone to go blind. Confessional booth. Beep. "What? I'm in a show with a cinnamon rollies Maximus, I'd be stupid not to use sunglasses," Justin said. Beep. With the killer base. DJ was showing off his gymnastic ribbon skill to great effect. "Okay dude, you're in Harold, your next bra," Jeff said as Harold does his thing. Everyone had their jaws dropped at this. "Okay then, Cody's keyboard, DJ's ribbon and Harold's talent are in," Jeff said with a grin. With the screaming Gophers. "Okay fearless leader, what can you do?" Heather asked. "Well, I analyze everyone's quirk, but I know that Chris will do a challenge with our quirks," Izuku said. "Of course," Heather said, not wanting anyone to know about her quirk yet. "Well, I can also do this, have no fear. Why? Because I am Hira," Izuku said as he somehow morphs his face into All Might. Everyone but Ochako was shocked at this. Anybody have a photo of All Might?" Trent asked as Izzy gives Trent a photo of All Might. Trent compares the photo and Izuku. "Holy shit, okay, I say we flip the coin. Heads, Izuku, tails, Owen," Trent said as he takes out a coin and flips it. It landed on heads. "Okay myself, Izuku and Heather are in," Trent said as everyone is content with this. Everyone nods at this. Nighttime. Amphitheater. It was now time for the talent contest. The base and Gophers are ready for this. It's the TDI extravaganza. Welcome to the very first Camp Wawanakwa talent contest, where 6 campers will showcase their mad skills and desperately try not to humiliate themselves. First up for the screaming Gophers is Izuku, Chris said as Izuku nervously walks up the stage. There was some cheering from the Gophers. "Okay then, have no fear. Why? Because I am here," Izuku as he morphed his face into All Might. "Holy shit, chef, 2 things, 1 a quirk scanner and 2 a photo of All Might for comparison," Chris said as Chef did just that. Upon confirming that it is not due to a quirk and comparing the photo, Chef gave him a score of 7 points. "Would have been higher if he did his hair like All Might's hairdo," Chef said with a shrug. Izuku shrugged as well as he got off the stage. First up for the killer base, make some noise for the big guy, DJ, Churs said as DJ enters the stage. DJ tried to do his ribbon thing, but he got tangled up by the ribbon and fell. Dainty yet masculine. Let's see what Grand Master Chef says, Chris said as Chef gives DJ 2 points. It wasn't much. Chris soon calls on Trent where he sings his song, which was obviously meant for Gwen. This gave the screaming Gophers another 6 points. Next came Cody, who played the keyboard with style and grace. He played so well that it earned him a full score of 10 points. Heather went next, but instead of her dancing ballet, she read Gwen's diary, which got her score disqualified. This also made Gwen run for the hills while Trent blush. Finally, it came down to Harold, where he proceeded to beatbox like a mad lad and earned the base another 10 points. Well, I think we all know who the fucking winner is. The killer base, screaming Gophers, it's the bonfire for you guys. Campfire site. Kudos to you all for an incredible night of entertainment. Music, drama, and facial impersonations. There is only one marshmallow left on this plate. Justin, you reminded us that looks can only take us so far, and Heather, you're of surprises. I mean, come on, you read another chick's diary in front of the whole world. Seriously not cool, Chris said. Oh please, just give me my marshmallow already, Heather said. I would, but we actually have a tie in the votes. So to break the tie, we asked the killer base to be the tie-breaking votes, and the person who has to walk the dock of shame is Justin. Sorry dude, but your hotness wasn't enough dude. Chris said as Justin got up and went to the loser boat, but not until he went to Izuku. Make sure to take Ochako's heart you'll need for your hero career, Justin said as he went to the boat. Everyone in the Gophers glared at Heather, especially Gwen. Confessional booth. Beep. If that bitch thinks she's getting away from this, she has another thing coming, Gwen said. Beep. Killer base cabin. Gwen knocks on the door only for Cody to answer. Cody is holding his platinum base with Trent holding the platinum gopher. Hey Cody, is Harold there? I need to borrow his fire ant colony, Gwen said. Sure Gwen, I'll ask him, Cody said. Sometime later. As everyone went to sleep, Heather ran out of the cabin with fire ants all over her body. Gwen slept peacefully. Last time on Total Drama Island, a talent contest brought out the worst in out campers. It was awesome, Chris said as a clip showed the campers doing their talents. It took the killer base to find their talents, while in the Screaming Gophers Heather read Gwen's diary in public revealing that she has a crush on one of her teammates, but it ultimately costed her team the victory after Harold demoralized his kick-ass beatboxing abilities. Seriously, that's twice he won for the base, Chris said as a clip of Heather reading Gwen's diary and Harold beatboxing. But she did save her ass once she convinced everyone to vote off Justin McGorgeousness. Who will be the one to walk off the shitey dock tonight in the most dramatic marshmallow ceremony yet on? Chris said as he did intro. Total Drama Island. Play intro. Today we find Chris and the campers sitting in the campfire site. Okay campers, today we will test your outdoor skills. I'm not gonna lie to you, some of you might now come back alive, Chris said, making the campers gasp. He's not serious, right Deku-kun? Ochako nervously said. Tell that to his interns, Ochako-chan, Izuku bluntly said. The both of them did hear that all they had to do was spend one night in the woods and everything they needed was at their campsites. Chris tossed a pair of maps and compasses at the teams, with the ones catching them being Duncan and Heather. Oh, and watch out for bears, we lost a few interns in pre-production. First team back for breakfast wins invincibility, Chris said as the challenge started. Did he say there were bears? Lashana asked. I had an encounter with a bear once, let's just say his head looks real nice on my wall, Owen said with a grin. Izzy told a story about bear, or was it a cat? Anyway, we soon find the Screaming Gophers where Trent was trying to make Gwen feel better, but it blows up in his face. He turns to see Ochako giving Trent a flat look. Too soon? Trent said as Ochako slaps the back of his head. Yeah, too soon dude, Owen said. Confessional booth. Beep. Okay, I'll admit that was my bad on that one, Trent said. Beep. Trent is such a baka, everyone knows that a girl's diary or a boy's journal is very important to them, and thanks to Heather, not only she embarrassed Gwen, but also made us lose the challenge, Ochako said with a pout. How was I supposed to know? It would disqualify my score if I had known that I wouldn't have done it, Heather said as she crossed her arms. I should have known it wouldn't have mattered. Heather would have forced Beth into reading the diary, Izuku said as he shakes his head. Beep. With the killer base. We find the killer base going to their campsite when Sadie and Katie find a blueberry bush and both telling each other that they love them. Confessional booth. Beep. Sadie and I are BFFFLs, Katie said. That means best female friends for life, Sadie said. We even got the chicken pox together, Katie said. Oh my gosh, that was so fun, Sadie said. It was so nice to have someone scratch all of your little scabs, Katie said. I know right, Sadie said. Beep. We find the Screaming Gophers trudging along with Heather telling everyone that Gwen was next to be elimination, but Ochako reminded everyone that it was Heather that made them lose the last challenge. Whatever dollface, go screw yourself, Heather said as she and the other members of her alliance left with her. Meanwhile, Katie and Sadie. The both of them were coming out of their blueberry high and realized that rest of the team left them. Soon the both of them started to call out for their team. SG campsite. The Screaming Gophers were at the campsite where Owen complained about there not being any food. Well, Owen-san, this is a survival challenge, so we'll need find our own food. So berries and fish with have to do, Izuku said as he looks at the map. Oh, I know how to fish. My grandpa taught me how when I was a kid, though I did bit by a shark on my ass, but I caught and fired the bastard. He tasted really good. Owen said with a grin. Wow, that's so cool, Izzy said. Yeah, Oswald, Lindsay said to Owen. Meanwhile, Katie and Sadie. While the SG are getting their food ready, Sadie and Katie are arguing over being lost, with Sadie pointing out that Katie crashed a car at a snack shack. Both of them continued with their search for the killer base. KB campsite. The killer base had found their campsite and were setting up when Jeff made a comment about pitching a tent to Bridget, and she got offended. Dude, that was stupid, man, Cody said. What all I said was that she pitched a tent like a man, Jeff said as DJ, Ezekiel, Harold, and Duncan facepalmed. Dude, what do people say when some dude has a hard-on? Cody asked as DJ walked away. Simple that they're pitching an "oh, I fucked up, didn't I?" Jeff said as he realized what he had said to Bridget. Yes, you did, Cody bluntly said. Jeff said as he facepalmed. The other dudes shakes their heads while the girls overheard what Cody and Jeff were talking about. At least he knew why he fucked up, Bridget said as Eva nods. You do know that the dumbass likes you, right? Eva said. I know, Bridget said as she nods. DJ comes back with a small bunny named Bunny and says it's his new pet. Guys, there's a river nearby, meaning we can fish, Ezekiel said, making Eva and Jeff nod. Hey, where's Twiddle-Dum and Twiddle-Idiot? Duncan said as all he got were shrugs and I don't knows. With Katie and Sadie. The both were lost in the woods for over hours due to seeing an actual fork on a tree to which they placed a few hours earlier. Then, after hearing an owl, the both of them ran towards a cave. Once inside, Katie said that they will be safe there until morning, but a bat scared Sadie, making her run towards a rock. We're going to die here. We're going to die here. We're going to effing die here, Sadie said as Katie began to slap her BFFFL. Get a effing hold of yourself, Sadie, Katie shouted as Sadie calmed down. Sorry, Katie, I just got, Sadie said as she started to cry. Hey, it's okay, Sadie, we'll stay here and rest, though it's most likely we'll lose the challenge, Katie said. I know it'll take a fucking miracle for us to win, knowing what will happen, which one of us will go home, Sadie said as Katie nods. The both of them began talking, and the both of them smiled. Confessional booth. Beep. Both began talking for a while and realized our friendship turned into something more, Katie said. And before you perverts start thinking about that, we realized that we're no longer BFFFLs, Sadie said. We're sisters, Katie and Sadie said at the same time. Beep. With the screaming gophers. Okay, fire's hot, fish are grilling and tents a-tenting, Owen said as he listed off everything that was happening in the camp. Nice going, man, fish looks awesome, Trent said. Owen then told the story of how he and his grandpa shot a 10-foot bear. Well, Heather didn't believe him. Soon they find out that Izzy was missing. Owen went to a nearby bush to find Izzy, but found a bear. Everyone was panicking until Izuku noticed something off. He walked up to the bear, pulled off his head to find Izzy. Why are in a bear costume? Izuku asked. My question is, where did she get the costume in the first place? Ochako asked. Ha, I just wanted to spook you all for the lols, Izzy said. Okay then, let's eat and rest up. All right guys, Izuku said. The other gophers thought that was a good idea. They soon went in their tents. With the killer base. The killer base were all huddled around the fire, with Bridget admitting that the forest freaked her hour and Duncan telling a story about a guy with a hook. Hey guys, I've been wondering about something for a while now, Harold asked. Yeah man, what do you mean? Jeff said. Well, it's how Ochako calls Izuku Deku, Harold said. Yeah, what about it? Duncan said as he puts away his hook. Well, Deku means useless. I'm just wondering why Ochako calls him that, Harold said. From what Izuku told me, Dollface believes it to be shortened version of Deku, meaning you can do it, Duncan said. I guess in a way you can say it like that, Harold said. But hey, get this, he told me he's a late bloomer in regards to his quirk, meaning he got it 14, Duncan said. Really bro, must be a stockpiler class quirk, Jeff said. What's next? Did he do the pinky toe test? DJ said in a goofy voice. He did actually. The look on his face when I told that the damn test have discredited and discontinued for over 50 years was fucking priceless. Duncan said as he laughed. Confessional booth. Beep. 50 years. For 50 years the pinky toe test, the premier test for seeing if someone has a quirk, has been discredited and discontinued for half a century. Izuku mumbled as it hits him. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Izuku was laughing his ass off. For F's sakes, I gonna find that quack and squeeze every last yen out of you, Dr. Tsubasa, Izuku shouted. Beep. How do you think Ochako will react to the government-mandated stipends for construction companies? Cody asked. Since she told us her family was dirt poor, she'll be dead silent at first, then she'll go Incredible Hulk on our asses, Eva bluntly said. The other campers all agreed with Eva. They soon decide to call it a night and head off to their tents. The next morning. Campfire site. Chris and Chef were waiting for the campers as they prepped the fireplace. Then the killer base showed up first, followed by the screaming gophers. Damn it all, we lost, Heather shouted. Oh man, this stinks, Ochako said with a pout. Not so fast, Gopherinos, the killer base seems to be missing a few fish, Chris said as Duncan said that Katie and Sadie were eaten by wolves. Only for the both of them to appear, making the killer base lose. Well then, that means the screaming gophers win, which means you gets an all-expensed paid trip to the tuck shop, Chris said, which got cheers from the gophers other than Izuku and Ochako. Daniel noticed this and told them. At a connivance store where you can get some snacks, Daniel said as Izuku and Ochako went uo. They went to the tuck shop and didn't notice the killer base glaring at the not twins. Sadie and Katie looked at the rest of the base and gulped. Later that night, everyone in the killer base were sitting near the fireplace. Chris once again telling the base what the elimination ceremony is. Okay then, the first marshmallow is Jeff, Bridget, Cody, DJ, Duncan, Eva, Ezekiel, Harold, Katie and Sadie. You two are at the chopping block and the last marshmallow goes to Katie. Okay Sadie, it's time to go, Chris said as Sadie gets up. I'll miss you, Sadie, Katie said as she hugged Sadie. I'll miss you more, Katie, Sadie said as she went to the boat of losers. I'll see you soon, sis, Katie said as the boat left. Katie walked back towards her team with the screaming gophers. The gophers were celebrating their win, with Owen winning another platinum gopher for getting the fish, with Duncan having his second platinum base for the scary story. Okay then, now then, this is good, Izuku said as he sees his snacks. Hey Deku-kun, organizing your snacks, Ochako said. Yeah, I am Ochako-chan. For now we have the advantage, but knowing Chris, he'll make the challenges harder for all of us. Ochako, we need to form an alliance, Izuku said as Ochako nods. Alright, anyone else we should invite? Ochako asked. For now we keep to ourselves, alright, Izuku said as Ochako smiles. With that said, they go to their rooms and sleep. For the next challenge, this one will test Izuku's will. With Katie. Katie was sobbing a bit since Sadie was eliminated. Cody noticed Katie crying, so he went up to her. Hey Katie, Cody said. Hey Cody, Katie said. It was an awkward silence, but the both of them sat next to each other and the two of them smiled. Izuku was crying in Ochako arms as everyone went wide-eyed. Oh man, I fucked up, Chris said, shocked at what just happened. You said it, not me, boss, though, Daniel said as he looked at Izuku. I know this was supposed to be a simple fear-based challenge, but how did it end up like this? Churs said as Izuku continued to cry. By the way, what happened to the guy with the fear-based quirk? Chef asked. He quit as soon as he saw the tears. I'm gonna give him a check for 10 grand, Chris said. Chris pinched the bridge of his eyebrows. How could have this happened? Flashback a few hours ago. Last time on Total Drama Island, the camper had their survival skills put to the test when they spent the entire night camping in the woods. Katie and Sadie friendship was strained when Katie's sense of direction got them totally lost, Chris said as they showed scenes of the camps. Duncan told his team about why Ochako calls Izuku Deku, and they commented on how Japan is backwards as it is. Izzy also played a prank on the gophers by dressing up as a bear. Ultimately, it was the killer base were the one on the chopping block, leaving Sadie without a marshmallow. Chris said as it shows Sadie being eliminated. Izuku and Ochako decided to make an alliance and Cody comforted Katie. Yep, the challenge was rough alright, and if I have anything to say about it today's, will be even more brutal. Luckily I do. What fresh horror have we planned for our campers? Find out next on. Chris said as he did the intro. Total Drama Island. Play intro. It was nighttime and Cody was still comforting Katie as she was still crying. Sadie would want you to keep going, Cody said. Katie was still crying but nodded as she knew Cody was right. Come on, let's go back and join the others, Cody said as he takes Katie with him. The both of them went to the campfire site. Katie sat down as she cried for a bit more before stopping. It was a long goodbye, Cody awkwardly said. Soon the killer base noticed the screaming gophers without Izuku and Ochako came by. What are you doing here? Ezekiel asked. We came by with some snacks for you guys, Trent said. Oh, thanks, man, Ezekiel said, excited to get some real food in his stomach even though it was junk food. Beth was the one who brought the snack to the base when DJ screamed like a little girl. Ah, Snake, DJ screamed. Are you effing real, DJ? It's a fucking gummy worm, dude, Duncan said. Sorry guys, snakes scare the hell out of me, DJ said, shuddering. I thought you were afraid of heights, Cody asked. I conquered it after I jumped off that cliff, DJ said as Cody nods. Confessional booth. Beep. So suddenly everyone's was having a share fest by the fire like Beth went on and on about her mortal fear of being covered by bugs. Harold is afraid of ninjas. Even Heather admitted that she's afraid of sumo wrestlers. Gwen said. Beep. What's my worst fear? I guess being buried alive, Gwen said. Lindsay mentioned her fear of walking through a minefield in heels, while Owen and Izzy both shared a fear of flying. Jeff had a fear of hail, while Bridget was afraid of being alone in the woods. I'm scared of bad haircuts, but now the whole walking through the minefield sound terrifying, Katie said as Lindsay nods. Having to defuse a time bomb under pressure, Cody said. I'm not afraid of anything, Duncan said. No one believed him and Duncan felt the pressure, so he relented. Okay, I'm afraid of cardboard standees, and before any of you shits give me a hard time for it, take a look at this, Duncan said. Duncan pulled up his shirt to reveal a large jagged scar on his chest. The other campers gasped at this. You all know of the Ottawa stabber, Duncan said as the others nod. Yeah dude, we know. Holy shit, no way dude, Cody started to say until he put the pieces together. That's right, the asshole's quirk allows him to turn into a cardboard standee, and since that day I've been afraid of them, Duncan said. Well shit, that makes my fear of mimes look pathetic, Trent said as he gives his fear. Say, where's Super Dork and Dolly Woman? Duncan asked. They went to bed early, Gwen said with a shrug, thinking that they're just used to sleeping and rising early. With that in mind, the campers headed off to bed, not knowing of what's to come. Next morning, everyone was eating when Chris showed up. Hello campers, the next challenge is something I like to call phobia factor, and before any of you say something about the show fear factor, my boss bought the rights to it. Now then, it's time to face your worst fears, Chris said. Worse than this, Lashana said as she shows a sausage that had a hair on it. Okay, our first victim is Heather. Meet us at the theater, it's sumo time, Chris said. Upon hearing that, Heather did a spit take and sprayed her drink at Ochako's face. Gee, thanks Heather, Ochako sarcastically said, not seeing the look of fear on her face. Next Gwen, you and me at the beach with several tons of sand, Chris said, terrifying Gwen. Gwen facepalmed, forgetting that this was a reality TV show, so they basically gave Chris a new idea to torture them. Worst of all, they had no one else to blame but themselves. We fucked up, didn't we, Gwen? Cody asked as Gwen nodded. Yup, we fucked up, Cody, Gwen said. Ah, did we miss something? Izuku asked as a question mark appeared over his head. Sometime later, the screaming gopher were surrounding a kiddie pool filled to the brim with live earthworms. Beth knew this is for the challenge. Speaking of which, the challenge itself was simple. The team with the most points won. To get those points, they needed to face their worst fears. Maybe they should have just went to bed like Izuku and Ochako did. Okay, if I can jump off a cliff filled with man-eating sharks, I can do this, Beth said as she dived into the pool of worms. After a few minutes, Beth came out with a smile on her face. Soon we find Chris with Katie and Lindsay sitting in chairs. Okay, you two, all you need to do is to keep the wigs on for a few hours, all right? Chris said as the both of them nod. The two of them with bad wigs on their heads walked away. With Owen and Izzy. Both of them were looking at the plane they will be flying in. We should have kept our mouths shut, Owen said as Izzy nods. The both of them soon got on the plane, and it flew off the plane with Chef flying. The thing itself was barely held together. This caused both campers to scream their lungs out as the plane flew away. With Harold. While was doing his business, he was ambushed by 3 ninjas. I know I'm afraid of ninjas, but I'm gonna go down fighting, Harold said as he took out a nunchaku. Harold started to masterfully spin them around as the ninjas began to back off. Harold would have defended himself nicely, but he knocked himself out. Is he dead? Ninja 1 asked as Ninjas 2 and 3 checked on him. We're good, Ninja 3 said as Ninja 2 gave a thumbs up. Thank God, Ninja 1 said. With Lashana. Lashana failed her team as she ran away from Chef, who is dressed as a giant spider. The latter part is Lashana's fear. With Eva. Eva was arm wrestling a guy, but for her to win she needed to lose. Eva was tempted to win, but then something dawned on her and she relaxed her arm. Holy shit, Eva lost, Ochako said. I think I now know what my granddad meant, Eva said with a smile. Confessional booth. Beep. My granddad always told that sometimes to win I need to lose. I now know what he meant by that. Thanks, Gramps, Eva said. Beep. With Ezekiel. Ezekiel fainted as soon he saw his fear. Is he okay? An intern with a hornet's head asked. I think he fainted and also pissed himself, Chris said. Whatever, I can't blame him. Anyone would be scared shitless of a Japanese giant hornet, especially a giant walking, talking one, Hornet intern said with a shrug. Soon everyone else was doing their challenges. Gwen was buried, Trent was chased by the mime, Cody got blasted by the garbage bomb. Owen and Izzy got off the plane safely. Heather took down the sumo wrestler. DJ conquered his fear of snakes like he did with heights. Both Katie and Lindsay walked the landmine in high heels and Bridget ran away from garbage Cody. Gwen was eventually released from her premature burial. At first she was mad until Trent pointed out that he was being chased by a mime. Even Duncan conquered his fear of cardboard standees. All that was left was Izuku and Ochako. With Izuku and Ochako. Okay, unlike the rest of the campers, you two were smart enough to go to bed early. But it's not a problem cause we have this guy, Chris said as he points towards an intern. Hi there, the intern said. This guy's quirk can allow him to show us your worst fears. Izuku, you're up, Chris said with a grin as Izuku gulps. Okay then, I'm ready, Chris-san, Izuku said as the intern touched Izuku's head. Izuku's mindscape. Izuku wakes up and finds himself in a familiar rooftop. The rooftop where All Might told him he couldn't be a hero. He was shocked, then he heard the voices. Useless. Quirkless bastard. Effing Deku. I wish I never had you. You were never worthy of one for all. Why didn't you save me? This made fall to his knees, closed his eyes and cover his ears. Stop, please stop, Izuku said. He understood what was going on. His worst fear was rejection. It hurts, doesn't it? A calm voice said as he opens his eyes. Izuku sees himself. It was basically him, but with chalk white skin, black sclere and red pupils, wearing his old middle school uniform. It does despite Kachin getting better, but sometime I still have nightmares, Izuku said. About what? Dark Izuku said. When Katsuki told me to kill myself, Izuku said. Honestly, Izuku, why do you call him your friend when you know he's toxic as all 9 hells and in desperate need of therapy? Though then again you need it as well, Dark Izuku said, pointing out Izuku's critical need for mental help. I know, it's just so hard, Izuku said as Dark Izuku shakes his head. It's not that hard, but right now you're at a crossroads. You can either choose face your fears and be selfish for once or, Dark Izuku said. Or I take a swan dive down the roof, Izuku said. It felt like hours upon hours, but Izuku makes his choice. If I die, Bakugo and the other assholes win. For so long I looked up to that toxic bastard. Well, no more, Izuku said. Well then, why don't you say it, shout it to the heavens? Dark Izuku said with a grin. F you Bakugo, you're a toxic motherfing asshole. Up yours all might and your effing hypocrisy. Nightai, you're cool, even though you were an asshole in the start, you just wanted what's best for the world, you're still awesome, Izuku said. May I can see that he just wanted one for all to be in the hands of a more experienced person, Dark Izuku said with a shrug. Okay then, F you Aldera. I hope May builds a mini Death Star to blow your shitshow of a school to pieces. And finally, Ochako, I always liked you, I was effing terrified that you would reject me just like everyone else, Izuku shouted as he once more falls to his knees. Izuku started to cry, though these weren't the waterfall tears that usually come but small ones. Doesn't feel good to be selfish for once in your life, Dark Izuku said with a grin. It feels awesome, Izuku said with the same grin. As he grins, the rooftop destroys itself and reveals a light showing a way out. Welp, it's time, go get the girl Izuku and your life. Oh, one more thing, get you and your class a fucking therapist, Dark Izuku said. Izuku nods and leaves. Campgrounds. Izuku opened his eyes and sees everyone else with shocked expressions on their faces. I'm guessing you all heard that, Izuku said as everyone nods. Izuku starts to tear up and walks up towards Ochako. Ochako hug? Izuku asked. Ochako just went to hug him as he started to cry again. End flashback. Izuku still cried as Ochako patted him on his back with coming out of her eyes. Confessional booth. Beep. Ochako was still hugging a crying Izuku as she calmed him down. It's okay, Izuku, I'm here, don't cry. I will never let you go, Ochako said as she pats Izuku's back. Ochako took off her jacket and placed it over the camera. Beep. Okay, I can safely say that the screaming Gophers win, Chris said. No one cheered at that. Well then, I'll add that this is a reward challenge, so that means no one is going home today, Chris said. This raises Chef's eyebrow, while Daniel made a signal that said play along. Chef understood that. The reward is for the next week starting today is that you get real food and your phones back, so call your family and shit. I'll have to talk to my new boss. Also, Ochako, can you give this to Izuku when he stops crying? Chris said as he gives the platinum gophers to Ochako while he gave the platinum base to Eva. Ochako knew that this belonged to Izuku. Eva takes her platinum base graciously. No one really spoke about it and decided to call it a day. That night at the Dock of Shame, Izuku and Ochako were sitting at the dock looking at the stars. It was a bit awkward, but Ochako spoke. Izuku, did you mean that? I mean the part that you liked me, Ochako asked. I did, Ochako, I really do like you, I was just scared that you would reject me, Izuku said. Did Katsuki told you to? Ochako said, but Izuku nodded, confirming what Ochako suspected. His head is going on my wall, and as for All Might, I'm gonna stuff him, Ochako said. Normally Izuku would defend Katsuki and be horrified at the death of All Might, but he felt happy that his new girlfriend would defend him. Ochako, what do we do about our relationship? Izuku said. One step at a time, Izuku-kun, one step at a time, Ochako said as she hugged Izuku. Thank you, Chako-chan, Izuku said as he hugged back. With Chris. Okay then, thanks boss, I mean it, okay later dude, Chris said. Was that the boss? Chef asked. Yeah, ratings are through the fucking roof, but not in a good way, Chris said. Yeah, this day was a massive shitstorm, Chef said. No dude, this is the calm before the storm. The UN is preparing a full-on intervention to Japan, Chris said. Oh shit, this is bad. What did the boss say? Chef asked. To keep the show going, but no more fear-based challenges. I'm still allowed to do scary challenges, but no more fear-based ones, Chris said as Chef said. So did you get a doctor and a therapist? Chef said as Chris. A few days later, Izuku had just finished his exercises with Ochako and Cody. During these last few days, everyone had acted a bit friendlier towards him, well, except for Heather, who told him that if she wanted to pick on, she would have done it in many ways, but suicide baiting would cross a massive line for her. Chris told him that he and his boss had hired a therapist for him and a doctor for the camp. He is at the dock of shame when he sees something flying towards them. Izuku immediately recognizes them. "Mom, Erie?" Izuku said as the both of them land. "Izuku, my baby," Inko said as she hugs her son. "Deku, I am here," Erie said as she hugs Izuku's leg. The three of them hugged. Ochako couldn't help but ask. Not that I mind, but how did you get here?" Ochako said. "It's a long story, Ochako," Inko said. Camp Wawanakwa. Everyone was at the lounge as Inko was drinking tea and Erie was munching on some apple slices. Izuku and Ochako were confused by this. More importantly, they were wondering how in nine hells they got here. "Chef Sen, this tea is lovely," Inko said. "No problem, ma'am, I'm actually a very cook, I'm just paid to cook bad food," Chef said with a shrug. This surprised the campers but kept their mouths shut. Chris, on the other hand, wanted to know why and how she got here. I just want to know two things: how you got here and why," Chris asked. "The why is easy, I'm here to see my son, and Erie wants to be with Izuku," Inko said. "Hi," Erie shyly said. The campers said hi to Erie. "As for the how, well, sit back and I'll tell you," Inko said as she starts her tale. Flashback. Yua High. Class 1, a dorm. Everyone was silent as they saw the words that Izuku spoke. Everything about his life, his abuse, his pain, and finally his suicidal thoughts. Everyone was understandingly furious at Bakugo, and when confronted by this, he simply said, "Ha, Deku's just a moron, and yeah, I told him to take a swan dive off the roof, so what?" Bakugo said. Erie cried. Both Class 1A and 1B, hell, even Monoma are angry at him, and Aizawa, who just came in, was furious. "You fucking asshole, how dare you!" Kirishima shouted as the others boys and Mina tried to hold him back. "This is reprehensible, Bakugo Katsuki," Momo shouted as Shadow's sides were icing and burning. "You're a bully, Bakugo," Mina shouted as she held Kirishima back. Mina was bullied during middle school, so she hated bullying. "This is complete bullshit," Hitoshi said, wanting to use his quirk. Mei was leaving as more teachers came in. "Hatsum, where are you going?" Tenya shouted. "To build a mini Death Star Speedy," Mei said. "Ah, I see, continue on, Hatsum-san," Tenya said. "Hatsum, as a teacher, pro-hero, and a rational thinker, I should stop you," Aizawa said. "But your emotional side is saying screw that," Mei said. "Actually, both my rational and emotional sides are telling me to turn a blind eye, so go build your Death Star to blow up Midoriya's middle school," Aizawa said as Tenya nods. Hatsum leaves to build said Death Star. That's when Katsuki's cell phone starts to ring. "Huh, the F yo," Katsuki said as the person who called him screamed at him. "Bakugo Katsuki, you need to get the F out of there now," Mitsuki shouted with worry. "The F you want, old," Katsuki shouted as Mitsuki shouted back. "Inko knows what you did and is coming for you. You know full well what she'll do to you," Mitsuki shouted. "Oh shit, Ida?" Katsuki asked. Mitsuki calms down. "At best 5 minutes, at worst 10 seconds, Mitsuki said. "Shit. Think I can sick all might at her?" Katsuki asked. "That would probably buy you a few minutes at best," Mitsuki said. Katsuki, in a panic, went to his room to pack some clothes and some shit. Nezu went to Bakugo's room. "Bakugo-san, may I ask what you're doing?" Nezu asked. "Getting the hell out of Dodge. Inko is going to kill me," Katsuki said. "Miss Midoriya, I can understand why," Nezu said. With the other students, everyone was still angry at Bakugo until Denki felt a shiver down his spine. Guys, does anyone else besides me feel existential dread?" Denki asked. This made everyone stop and realize that they feel the same thing. Then the roof was ripped apart and tossed away. Everyone was shocked when they saw who did it. "Wait, isn't that Izuku's mom?" Minta said. "Wait, are you sure?" Suro said. The Inko everyone was seeing was tall and beautiful. She had a bountiful bust and rear. She was wearing a copy of Izuku's costume that fitted to her new form. Her green eyes irradiated with fury. Inko-san?" Toshinori asked. Toshinori was lifted up towards Inko's face. The former symbol of peace took one look and thought to himself, "I'd rather train with Gran Torino again or face all for one naked in my emaciated form." Toshinori thought. "Tell me, All Might, tell me why I shouldn't kill you," Inko said. In that moment, All Might told her everything, not even caring that the other teachers and students are their foe, his past quirklessness and the dangers that attributed with it. Inko floated there until she and Toshinori came down. "Okay, I won't kill you if you do one thing for me," Inko said. "I acknowledge that I am a hypocrite," Toshinori said, knowing that was she wants. "Thank you." "Erie, Aizawa, can you come here for a second?" Inko asked. The both of them came towards Inko. Aizawa was nervous and Erie was terrified. Inko looks often as she sees Erie. "It's okay, Erie, I'm not mad at you, I'm only mad at All Might and Katsuki. Now can you do me a big favor?" Inko said with a smile as Erie nods. "Okay," Erie said. "All right then, Erie, I want you to use your quirk on All Might. Aizawa, on my signal you use your quirk on Erie, all right?" Inko said as Aizawa nods. Erie's horn began to glow and fires her quirk at All Might. After a few seconds, Inko told Aizawa to use his quirk on Erie. After that happened, everyone soon saw All Might rather in his emaciated form, they see him in his muscled form. Everyone was excited. Recovery Girl facepalmed at this. She felt pretty stupid for not coming up with the idea herself. "Oh my god, I can breathe and my scar is gone," Toshinori said as he touched the place where his scar used to be. At that moment his stomach began to growl. "I feel hungry for the first time in 6 years. I can have real food and," Toshinori said as he realized something. Toshinori, what's wrong?" Nezu asked. "I just realized that Miss Midoriya can beat me up without the risk of killing me," Toshinori said. "Huh, I wondered why she asked Ari to use her quirk on All Might," Aizawa said. What followed was a massive beating to Toshinori, and in the end he is still alive and well but beaten black and blue. "Humph," Inko said as she doesn't look at All Might. Miss Inko are going to Deku and Acha?" Erie asked. "I am, sweetie, do you want to come with me?" Inko asked as Erie nods. Nezu, being Nezu, walked up to Inko and gave her a passport. When Inko opened it up, it had Erie's information on it. Inko said as she thanks Nezu. "Please force that monster to go to therapy and threaten with expulsion if he refuses," Inko said as she and Erie fly off to where Izuku is. Katsuki took this moment to leave his dorm room. "Hey, where's Inko?" Katsuki said as everyone in the room looked at him. "Well shit, there goes my dad might theory," Shoto said, mumbling about how his theory was wrong. End flashback. "And that how we got here? Any questions?" Inko asked. "Okay, from what I saw on Izuku's phone you were shorter and plumper," Owen asked. "Yeah, how that happen?" Heather said. "Oh well, after I watched the latest episode of TDI, I was not surprisingly pissed off so much so that I experienced a second quirk awakening, turning my original quirk of attraction of small objects to high-powered telekinesis," Inko said. "I'm guessing that you used your newfound power to take all of the fat to the right places, right in Kai," Lindsay said. "Yes, Lindsay. It is any other questions?" Inko said. As everyone was asking questions, Chris walked up to Izuku. "Yo Izuku, I need to tell you that my boss hired a therapist and a doctor for the rest of the contest," Chris said as Izuku nods. "Thanks, Chris," Izuku said. "Say Izuku-kan, I'm gonna check on our class, okay?" Ochako said. Ochako used her phone to call Class 1A. Meanwhile, at UA, Class 1A was minding their own business, still reeling at the fact that there was a quirk that can be passed down and that All Might was quirkless long before Izuku was even born. Then Mina's phone began to ring. Who's calling me?" Mina said as she looks at the person who's calling. Mina's eyes went wide. "Hey guys, Ochako is calling," Mina said as the other students besides Katsuki. "Yo Ochako, how's everything?" Mina said. "I'm doing well, Mina, how are the others?" Ochako said. "We're doing well, though Midori's mom pretty much whooped All Might's ass," Mina said. "I know, Inko-san just told us," Ochako said. "Wait, she's at the island," Momo said. "Yeah, along with Erie," Ochako said. Glad to see that my littlest horn buddy is okay, Mina said with a smile. Kyoka decided to ask. Hey, is Izuku okay? Kyoka asked. I think so, but maybe some therapy will help fix this. As for our relationship, we decided to take it one step at a time, Ochako said. I'm happy for you and Izuku also. It's a good thing that you're taking this one step at a time, Tsuyu said in a blunt tone. Thanks, Tsu. Oh, I got to go. Bye, guys, Ochako said. Everyone said goodbye as Ochako hangs up. Camp Wawanakwa. Ochako puts away her phone and sees Izuku blushing. Hey, what did I miss? Ochako asked. Oh, just Inko telling us about Izuku in an all-might onesie, Gwen said with a chuckle. Ochako chuckled as well as Izuku groaned at this. But Izuku smiled at this, knowing that this was the first step of getting better. At least until Chris made a new challenge, but for now this was good. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Firem78910 on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.